See how we go.
Okay, I believe we're live. Good evening and welcome to Emergency Hedge. This is definitely not the second time we tried that this evening. This is the channel where Jessica teaches me Netrunner.
And Dave teaches me Arkham Horror. And I believe we're doing the former of those tonight.
We are indeed. We are indeed. How has the week been treating you, Jessica?
Pretty good. I've really gotten back into Netrunner. I've played quite a bit of Netrunner, including my regular Monday night meet at my meta. I've also played some Arkham, which I think last time we spoke, I was claiming that I was going to play a rogue in my next game of Arkham.
We talked about you playing a Mystic, but I think maybe we discussed both of those things.
We did. I am playing a Mystic in my Dunwich Legacy campaign.
Yeah.
And then I started a Carcosa campaign on Sunday. And we'd done all of the deck constructing, we got everything together, and we started reading it. And it said, if Lola, I want to say Lola Hayes.
Lola Hayes, yeah.
If Lola Hayes is one of the investigators, read the following bit, and we were like, "Fuck it, we're not missing out on content. We're going to switch one of the decks up." So,
oh wow! Are you playing Lola Hayes?
I am playing Lola Hayes.
Oh my! Okay.
I only cheated once by accident. It's very easy to accidentally cheat as Lola Hayes and forget which investigator you are currently being.
She's an interesting investigator to use.
Very interesting.
If you haven't looked at the taboo rulings that change how she plays, I would encourage you to.
Okay. Do they make her better or worse?
They buffed her.
Oh, cool. I'll take a look at those.
Yeah, and that's a taboo change that was widely regarded as being a good thing, and making a character that was quite difficult to play a bit more playable.
Cool. I'll definitely check this out. Shall we tell our readers how she works? Watchers how she works.
Please, would you go ahead? I have never played Lola Hayes, so we're switching our expertises here.
Interesting. So from memory, the way she works is that she's got really liberal deck building rules. You can put this is an exaggeration, but let's say you can put any card in there. In fact, you are required to put a certain number of cards from each class in there.
Level 0 to 3.
From 0 to 3, that's right. And then once per turn, you can, as a fast action, essentially switch class. And you are only allowed during that turn to play cards of that class and neutral cards.
Yeah.
So it's all about managing what's in your hand and knowing when you want to switch. And she's got a couple of extra special abilities that let her switch maybe an extra time here and there. It was really, really good fun. She's a really fun investigator.
I'm glad you're enjoying her. Yeah. She's got a reputation as being quite intimidating to take on. So congrats for absolutely just going for it. That's
yeah. Oh, I mean, if I'd known that, I might have been like, oh no, maybe I better not. But it was that thing of the real FOMO of it saying, read this special prologue if Lola's involved. And then there was nothing else like that. It was just that prologue in Carcosa, but I'm sure there'll be in the first scenario. I'm sure there'll be more stuff as we continue the campaign.
I think is unlikely to be in that campaign. Actually, you see a bit of that. You see a bit of that in other campaigns. It tends not to be ex-investigator gets something. I think you might remember that Winifred got some special text during the aeroplane crash in our Edge of the Earth campaign, which presumably was some pilot relevant text because she is a pilot.
Okay, well, I mean that's a particularly funny decision to have made then. If all it was literally 2 paragraphs of text.
Yeah, she starts somewhere different. She starts backstage, I think.
She does.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was helpful or not. It's a lovely little scenario. It's got some really nice mechanics. I don't want to spoil the stuff, but there's a really fun bit towards the end of the scenario which adds to the normal ratcheting up of tension that you get from Doom in some exciting new ways. I would say.
And you had an emissary who obviously comes in peace to spread friendship throughout the multiverse.
Yeah, I can't remember whether we ended with them in the victory display or not. I think we just managed to.
Nice. Yeah,
we
don't
did
like
quite
to
well.
stay there, do they?
No, they don't like to stay there. We might have retconned a couple of decisions to get to the outcome that we got, but
that's normal. Yeah. How did you like the stranger?
the stranger's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine we'll be meeting him a lot throughout that campaign.
If you've correctly resolved the scenario, and as you should, he'll come back. Yeah,
keep coming back. Like a boomerang.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I look forward to hearing how you get on with that. Could you share a little bit of what you've done with deck building for Lola? What have you gone for?
I did what I often do for these sorts of games, Netrunner included, which is I just went on Arkham DB.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do that for Netrunner so much. I went on Arkham DB and just looked at what looked interesting and easy to play, and I picked a deck that I think was called Lola Hayes Performs a Miracle.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't. We were literally about to start playing and then switch decks up, so I didn't spend a lot of time thinking about it. And it's like, yeah, this looks like it's got some decent value cards in it, and I shoved it out. Hang on a sec. Let me look it up real quick, because there was one card in it that I pulled. What's he called? There's a rogue card who's an ally who gives you an extra action every turn. Do you know the one I mean?
Leo DeLuca, yes.
Leo DeLuca. Leo DeLuca was such a good card that I had a dream about Leo DeLuca last
Yeah.
I had a dream about trying to arrange my life in such a way that I could play Leo DeLuca so that I myself would have more time to get the things that I want to get done.
Very sensible, yeah. All of us have been there many times with Leo. He's a good guy. Awesome. He's a great choice for her, because one of the interesting things about her is that if you get assets on the table that don't have an action ability, but just have some sort of static ability, then you don't need to act. You don't need to get to that class to get the benefit from them. So you can just put down. Furthermore, if you are not switching to that class very much, then they're also safe from her weakness.
Yeah, I did end up losing Leo DeLuca because I was in that class right at the moment when that weakness came out. Speaking of,
what were you going to say?
I think you were about to do the same segue that I'm about to.
We were about to do a segue. Yeah. Mine wasn't very good though, I thought.
I was just going to go. Speaking of Arkham, I believe we've got a new card.
Yeah, we are on the cusp of spoiler season. We've had the first official spoiler of the season. There's another one happening in literally 35 minutes time.
Oh.
Which we can come back to another day, but we won't interrupt the stream for. But we had Reddit spoilers card Accursed or Accursed. And more to follow. So I think Mythos Busters have got something on Friday. There's a couple coming very soon. Mythos Busters and Drawn to the Flame have got a couple over the next few days. Drawn to the Flame have released a blurred version of their card that everyone's been squinting at for the past 2 days and coming up with increasingly insane proposals for what it might be. But let's not talk too much about that sort of frenzied speculation. Let's talk about Accursed. What was your immediate take about this card, Jessica?
Is it up on the screen, Dave?
It is up on the screen. Yes. The
you share your screen with me so I can see the same thing.
Yeah. Let's bear with me. See, I should have done this before we started the stream, but that's fine. I'll just have to buff around for a minute or two to hide it from the viewers.
This was one of those cards which I looked at and thought, oh, that's a bit rubbish. And then the more I looked at it, the more I was like, oh, hang on. This does some quite clever things. So It says, when you commit a curse to a skill test, add up to 3 curse tokens to the chaos bag. During this skill test, treat the modifier of each curse token revealed as 0. And I was like, I misread it at first. I thought it was a flat 3. I missed the up to, which is one of the most important bits on there.
Easily done.
It's obviously you only want to play this if you expect there to already be curse tokens in the bag, I would say, or if you have some desire to put curse tokens in the bag. There would be a bunch of campaigns in which this is functionally useless, just deck filler. But you will know more about this than me, Dave. Presumably, there are big synergies with certain investigators and certain campaigns.
Yeah, I wouldn't say certain campaigns actually. Although the Curse and Bless tokens came out in Innsmouth, and we saw a few of them in our campaign in Innsmouth, they're really primarily player card effects. They're not really that linked to campaigns. We might see them. That said, obviously Hemlock Vale is coming, and the player card expansion has Bless and Curse in. If they wanted to put Bless and Curse in the campaign itself, they'd have to put cardboard for it in the campaign box and in for the player card box.
Okay.
Because they've changed the release model, right? When Innsmouth came out, it was one box that had player and campaign cards in. And for the first 2 scenarios, and so that had the cardboard in, and it covered both. This time they'd have to put two punchboard pieces of punchboard in both, so that everyone buying them separately rather than both together still had access to the tokens they needed for those cards. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
So I would be surprised, thinking this through slightly wonkily live. I would be surprised if we saw it in the campaign, just because it's an extra cost for them. But we could be wrong. But yeah. Aside from that, there aren't any Bless and Curse tokens in the campaigns. Partly for the reason I've just mentioned, that it's an extra cost for FFG when they produce the boxes. So it's really about player cards, and it's a question of synergy with your deck. And actually, when you're doing Bless and Curse, you want to synergize with the team if you're playing more than one investigator, because everybody has to deal with the tokens in the bag.
Yeah.
Deal as in treat with, rather than necessarily, obviate or cancel or whatever. And everybody will draw them, and when they get drawn, they're one and done's generally Bless and Curses.
This is the thing that I learned researching this. They're not like the Frost tokens. The Frost tokens hang around forever and get really, really awkward. Whereas these are one and done.
One and done, yeah. So it's a single modifier, and then you pull another token. With some caveats. We may come up. We won't go into that too deeply, but basically in the Innsmouth player cards, there's what's called a Covenant asset. So I think they're all permanents actually. Let's have a look. Yeah, they're all permanents. And that's a slotless asset, so it starts in play, and it's a once per turn reaction ability for all of them that does something depending on what's been drawn out of the bag. So the different classes have ways that they work with either Bless or Curse, and the Covenant for that class leans into their broad approach. So with the curses, there's a Seeker one that changes the modifier to a +1 instead. There's a Rogue one that I think cancels one. The Mystic one is weird. It does something interesting if you get both Bless and Curse in one test.
Cool.
We might see some tweaking, I think, in Hemlock Vale to how the cards align with Bless and Curse. I wouldn't expect them to completely upturn everything, but I think we might see some tweaking. And in fact, I say we might. We're already seeing some tweaking to Mystic with this, I think. Mystic had a bit of an odd deal. Firstly, they had a Covenant that was looking for both. But they didn't really have, I think, mechanisms in class to add both. But they did have some payoff cards. Let's talk a little bit more about Accursed, and then maybe we'll talk about the payoff cards.
Okay. What else do you want to say about it?
I'm not sure I did want to say anything else. I suppose I want to check that we'd said enough about it, because I feel I've got you to talk about it. I haven't said anything.
I called you bluff, and now here we are. So.
I think the Lord of the Rings flavor text is slightly unusual choice. Are you familiar with that?
That is, and I'm trying to think of when that is said in Lord of the Rings. Can you remind me?
It is the poem lines about Aragorn / Strider that are written in Gandalf's letter to Frodo that's passed to him at the inn in Bree just after he meets Strider. But I think it's, although it's in the letter, I think it's a longer poem, possibly written by Bilbo, canonically. But that's.
Do we know who this character is on here?
I think it's supposed to be Calvin Wright, which is also a very interesting choice if it is supposed to be Calvin Wright, because Calvin Wright is not a mystic.
Okay.
In fact, cannot in his current deck building take this card.
So, do we think canonically this reaction is from a Calvin Wright player being, "Take, why have you put 3 cards in the bag? That has absolutely no synergy with my deck. We should have talked about this properly before we started the game."
Quite possibly. Calvin does have a really good card that lets him heal, putting curse tokens into the bag. But as far as I know, doesn't have any reason to want curse tokens in the bag at all.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything more to say about it. It's a way in Mystic of adding curse tokens to the bag. They had 1 skill, I think, and that's about it. I have not played Bless and Curse really to my satisfaction. I've had a little tinker around with them, but I haven't done a build with a character that leans really heavily into the archetype through a campaign. So I don't feel it's really a area where I can speak with lots of authority. But to the best of my understanding, this is another way of Mystics being able to get curse tokens in.
My physical Arkham group, Xiaat, if you are watching, Lou and Reese, are looking at buying Innsmouth, specifically so we have less than curse tokens for if and when we want them.
Yeah. I think it's a good choice. I mean, we played the campaign together. It's a really good campaign.
Really good campaign.
Really good campaign. And it's a cool archetype. And actually, if they are buying at the moment, they're getting that and Hemlock Vale together means that they will have a set of cards that synergize with each other. So yeah, it's a good time to get Innsmouth, I think.
Cool.
The reason partly we're talking about it was I was just going to show you some of the payoff cards. So the Mystic had a suite of cursed spells, all of which have limited charges, do the usual Mystic thing of swapping willpower for the normal stat for an action, fight, investigate, or evade, respectively. And have a little bit of a bonus. Oh, I can hear myself. You're just checking that we're streaming?
Yeah, I was just also getting up so we could see the chat if anyone decided to chat.
Oh, good shout. The things that's interesting about them is all of them have this text. If a curse token is revealed during this action, you get an additional bonus. So with Armageddon, the fight spell, you may deal 1 damage or place a charge on Armageddon so it can recharge if you pull a curse token or do more damage. And Eye of Chaos is similar. It's a charge or a clue at connecting location. And Shroud of Shadows is free movement or a charge. So you've got these out of class. There are some other stuff. So there's a couple in Seeker as well. There's these, I think, I'm not sure the curse spells get very much use in Mystic, and I think these cards don't get very much use either. So it'll be, I hope, with Hemlock Vale, we'll get to see a bit more support, so these become a bit more viable. You've got Gaze of Urash, which is a spell event in Seeker that basically pull lots of tokens out of the bag, and it does more damage if you pull more curse or auto-fail tokens. And you've got the Stygian Eye, which is a really, really expensive, fast event in Seeker, but it gets cheaper depending on how many curse tokens you have in the bag. And it gives +3 to your skills.
So it definitely sounds like it's got the potential to be really powerful, this sort of archetype, as long as you're coordinating with your friend. You don't want to show up with this and be like, hey, guess what I did, guys? You want to talk to people about it beforehand.
Yeah. The first time I ever played with curse spells was at a multiplayer event at a board game cafe in London, and I was quadded with a bunch of people who I didn't know, and as was the appropriate etiquette, one of them asked specifically if anyone minded them bringing a single card that would add curse tokens to the bag, because you don't want to be doing that to people unless they're signed up. it was a couple of tokens, so it was like on the very edge of not really mattering at all, but nonetheless it was the right thing to do.
This has reminded me of a specific Arkham question that's somewhat related. So I think the card I mean is Delve Too Deep.
Yes.
The one which gets you a victory point if, right, essentially you take an extra Mythos phase, you don't do the Doom, but you do the rest of it, you get the encounter cards.
You do, yeah.
You get an extra victory point. I have, as a matter of etiquette, been like, does anyone mind if I play Delve Too Deep at the end of this turn? But I suspect that's wrong. I suspect I shouldn't be telling people what's in my hand, and I should just be going, boom.
I think as far as the rules go, yes. That said, I'm not sure how much people follow that rule, because it's quite a thing to ask of people.
Yeah, and it has the potential to... The last time I played Delve Too Deep, we got 2 double victory point monsters and an Ancient Evils out of... And I'd if I'd not asked everyone's consent to do it, I played it on turn 1, which I thought was the absolute best time to play it, because it's the time when you're least encumbered by other problems. And it immediately created so many problems.
Which scenario was this, may I ask?
This was in Dunwich. Turn 1 of Dunwich. None of us moved anywhere, and I thought this is an ideal time to do this. We're all in the same place. We can deal with whatever comes out. I think I might be exaggerating a little bit. It might have only been 1-2 victory point monster, but still, it was like really difficult.
This was in the House Always Wins in La Bella Luna.
No, it was in Miskatonic University.
Extracurricular activities.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah.
We had a stellar player who drew Beyond the Veil at one point. It was like, I'm going to die. I'm going to fucking die. Like, this is... for anyone who doesn't know, this is a card that says if you run out of cards in your deck, take 10 damage straight away.
It's one of the worst encounter cards in the entire game across the 8 campaigns we now have, I think.
Yeah.
There are a few things in Dunwich that you can point to and say this was the less mature design in the scenario, and I think that card probably qualifies. Very slowly, over about 2 or 3 campaigns following it, they put out player cards in each class that can mitigate the insta-death consequence of decking out. But it's not deck milling, and particularly that outcome. Oh look, I've gone green. Isn't something they've repeated. Again, just checking you can still hear me, Jessica. Or have we? Oh no, we've had a Discord fart again. Yeah. How annoying! I wish you wouldn't keep doing this. I'll let Jessica pop off and back on again, and then I'll try and do the same thing, and hopefully that will sort us out. if anyone is watching who also streams, please tell us if you have this problem with Discord. It seems to be a perennial thing for us, and it is a bit disruptive, really. I kind of made my point about Dunwich. I'm not sure whether I'm going to I had anything further to say about it. Yeah, they haven't really done that again so extremely, and I think that points to early game exploration of the kinds of things they wanted to do or not.
I still can't hear you.
I can hear you, so that's a bonus. Let me hop off and we'll see what transpires.
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome. Okay, hopefully that's let me just pop us out and then probably everyone can see us as well. Boom. We still need to be and screen share again, don't we?
Yes, please.
Hey.
Hey.
Can you see me?
I can see you. I can see your screen share, and I can hear you, which is all ideal.
Awesome. Hopefully that won't happen again.
Yeah.
Yeah. We both say as if we know that it probably will because it's happened a lot already.
Yeah.
Yeah. The decking out beyond the veil is not something that they've really come back to quite so severely, and I think that's probably right.
I quite liked it as a mechanic because it was one of those moments where we were like the person who got it, like I say, they were playing a stellar deck and they were just like, I'm gonna have to resign, like I'm gonna die. And then they came up with really interesting solutions to it, like firing things at certain moments, so they were drawing more than one card when they were on one card, so there was never a moment when they had 0 cards. And I wasn't 100% sure they worked, but I thought they were so interesting that I wouldn't argue with them. And then it turned out to not matter because we got to the end of the campaign before they ran out of cards. But it changed how we played, which the game should do sometimes. The game should sometimes back you into a corner and change what you do.
Yeah. There are some things it does as well. There's one weakness that is actually, I said they didn't return to it. There's one weakness that's even more savage. And I think less mitigatable than Beyond the Veil, a basic weakness that they printed a bit later. So maybe I'm not right in saying
what one's that?
It's called Doomed.
Okay. I shall keep my eyes open.
I won't spoil how it works. I enjoyed the one time that I played with it, but I probably would choose not to play with it again because the things that I had to do to prevent it fully realizing its potential to screw me over did kind of warp how I approached the campaign.
Yeah.
I think it's good. I mean, MJ, dear departed, much loved lead designer of Arkham, liked fucking with players, like really enjoyed it, and I think shifted around a little bit and explored to what extent that was something that players were prepared to accept, and I think that was really good. It was a good thing that she did, and I'm really glad in so many ways that she pushed the envelope.
I definitely want to get fucked with by Arkham. It feels bad to lose, but it can't feel good to win if there's no chance of losing.
Yeah. I think with Beyond the Veil, I think that the issue for me is the best way to prevent yourself from dying with it is not to play very many cards, and that's a little bit of a sad way to approach playing a card game.
You are right, although Lou had an amazing way of not dying from it, which was to just leave Harbinger on top of his deck because he was playing a Norman Withers deck, and therefore the deck couldn't be interacted with at all. Yeah. And so none of the things that said discard a bunch of cards, he was just like, that does nothing to me. The whole the rest of the game. We initially were like, no, Lou, you should definitely go over your weakness. This is it can't be right to just leave that there. And then a few turns later, we were like, no, you were correct.
Yeah,
definitely leave it there.
I hope we started here talking about your question about Delve Too Deep.
Oh yeah, Delta Team.
I think I mean, just returning to that a little bit. I think it's a question of etiquette around the table more than rules. I think
Yeah,
rules as written, you shouldn't. You should just drop it on people. In practice, you want everyone you're playing with to have a good time, don't you? And
yeah,
if you absolutely wreck everybody's campaign and you haven't asked nicely first, then like people are investing their leisure time into this activity. Perhaps they might stop if you do things like that.
Although there's a part of me that kind of just wants to play that sort of witch who's just like smash.
Yeah. Its griefing potential as a card is extremely high.
Yeah.
People very often do exactly what you did, which is either play it right at the beginning or right at the end. You can cheese it by on scenarios where there's a resign action by everyone resigning except for the Delve player who plays Delve and then resigns. But yeah, I think we should probably move on from Arkham.
We probably should.
Because there are other things to talk about.
A
whole nother game to talk about. I want to chat a bit about, and I haven't got the link up for this, but I'll get it up, about the rotation plans.
Yeah.
So I imagine most people who follow the game enough that they are watching our stream probably know this, but FFG made a big announcement at the end of Worlds. Did you see this in person, Jessica?
I did not see this in person. Again, mention this as sort of almost co-star of the show now, Lou and I went to McDonald's because we were both absolutely exhausted, and we wanted really simple food that we understood.
Yeah.
So we went to McDonald's.
Yeah. That's the thing. So they've announced that they are going to they're going to release a foundational product codenamed Dawn in the second half of 2024, and that's going to replace System Update 2021, and all FFG printings in the standard format will rotate on Dawn's release,
which is very, very exciting.
Yeah, and that's the huge thing, right? I mean, Dawn is cool and interesting, but all FFG stuff going is wild.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
No, please go ahead. I was going to say, how do you feel about it?
The more I play Netrunner, the more you can feel. I'm sorry, Kitten Stan. You're going to have to go away from this. I'm right. The more I play Netrunner, the more I can feel the difference in design philosophy between NSG and FFG. And the FFG cards, maybe it's just the FFG cards that get played, but the FFG cards that you see in a game tend to be the ones that are really pushed.
Yeah. And
that just feel like they feel game defining, but they often don't feel very interesting. No shade to the FFG designers, who I'm sure are all fantastic people and amazing designers and stuff. But I mean, to just pick an example off the top of my head, Amakura is a card that I don't like having in the game. I feel in general, I don't like cards that punish you really hard for leaving exactly one server undefended. And it feels so different to basically any other icebreaker that's out there at the moment, and so much more powerful. And they tend to print a lot of very swingy cards like that. Whereas NSG, the cards NSG have printed have a lot of nuance to them, it feels.
Yeah.
And they will often have very powerful effects, but there's almost always a drawback to that effect or some way around it. I mean, they've even printed cards that mitigate the old problems with FFG cards. I mean, Mavirus is a good example of something that makes Amakura much, much worse.
What's Makura? I don't know Makura well enough to know what it is or was.
You might have heard it referred to as Turtle. Every time you access a card and don't steal...
Oh, Amakura. Sorry. I thought you said a different card name. Yeah. No, Turtle I do know. Yeah. I agree with you. I think so. The Automata initiative, by my reckoning, which isn't 100% correct, was the inflection point where the standard card pool went from majority FFG to majority NSG.
I think that's probably about correct.
Yeah, that's not counting the reprints and ashes, basically, or system gateway. So it's about that point. But if you just count sets and numbers of cards in sets, that's the inflection point. And I think where NSG has set out to do a near print of an FFG card, generally they come up with a better design. Obviously, they have the benefit of having had the previous design to look at and critique and see in play for a very long time. But yeah, it feels like something that they're ready to do, which I don't think would have been the case before Borealis, certainly. But I feel very mixed about it. I feel a bit scared about it.
I actually have a lot of... So I whinge about individual cards that I don't like, and I will continue to do so. But overall, NSG's output is absolutely amazing. And I have a lot of faith in them to take the game to a point where they are entirely in control of it. And I think it will massively improve the game if they're not having to constantly work around individual pushed cards that mean that kind of restrict the design space, you know?
Yeah, I think so. I have my mixed feelings are more sentimental than anything else. I don't really feel that I want to play a game where snares on it, and that's probably just some emotional nonsense. I obviously I wasn't a standard player before this rotation, and the speed at which I can't remember the name of whatever buyer band was before it was buyer bands. Do you remember that grey dude? What was his name?
Deuces Wild. I can't remember the name of the guy on it.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the character, but it was Deuces Wild is what I'm looking for. Like, I was thinking about that this morning, thinking about this conversation, and I realised I didn't remember the name of Deuces Wild, and maybe that completely obliterates the point that I'm trying to make, that there are a few cards where I feel quite emotionally invested in them being in part of the card pool, and I don't know how I'll feel when they're gone.
Is Snare in System Update?
Oh, I haven't looked actually. We can pull that up right now.
Because NSG have printed a version of Snare, I know, because I have physical snares. But also, just because they are...
Snare is in System Update, yeah, so it is, by the proposal as released, it's due to rotate out.
So my understanding of this proposal, and I could be completely wrong, is they are going to print a new product called Dawn.
Yeah.
They're going to get the System Update 2021 will rotate. There is no reason why Dawn cannot have a card in it that is called Snare.
Let's read this really carefully. Dawn isn't merely a rehash of old cards, instead introducing baseline effects and reimagined classic cards to support quality deck building. They haven't said there will be no reprints in this, but that's the implication here.
That is the implication. You're absolutely right. And they've even said no rehashed cards, so they won't make it so you've got to, I don't know, Snare gives 2 tags or some nonsense. I think it would be very odd if you didn't have a card like Snare in the game.
Yeah.
In the same way, we got to the point where it would have been very odd if they just let hard-hitting news rotate and not printed Oppo Research.
Yeah.
It would have changed the feel of the game so much and destroyed entire archetypes. Snare is a controversial card. Lots of people do not like to play against decks that have a single random snare in it because they think it's unfair. But I think whilst that view is legitimate, this is also the essence of the game. There should be a danger to running a server.
I'm tempted to say things like that view isn't legitimate, which is not a fair thing to say. People can have whatever views they like, but they're after a different game, I think, if they really, really don't like that.
Yeah.
You know, saying as somebody who has literally rage quit games without saying goodbye or GG when they've got unfortunately flatlined by this bloody card. But like it's part of the game, and as I was saying about PE when we were chatting about it before, like it's having stuff like this is actually a really foundational part of the game design, and the game without these spiky bits of design would be a different game, and I think a less interesting one.
A funny thing to realize about this is that all of the FFG cards rotating means that there will be no cards in rotation whatsoever that have the credit symbol that I now have tattooed on myself.
Really?
Out 2 days after getting the tattoo. I do not regret the tattoo. Yeah, it's the symbol that I learned the game with. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah.
It was very funny for Liam and I to find that out.
Do you know that Quentin Smith from Shut Up and Sit Down has a Netrunner tattoo in a very similar part of his body to you? He's got the link symbol.
Yeah, lots of people get the link symbol.
Yeah.
But I reasoned that they were phasing link out, and so this would be a better one to get. I'm really happy with how it looks. And to be honest, if I ever wanted to, I could get it switched to the other one quite easily. They're quite similar.
Yeah.
But I'm happy with what I've got.
I saw Shut Up and Sit Down video quite recently where he had another much more elaborate tattoo on the same arm, I believe. And I spent most of the video ignoring what he was saying about board games and trying to work out if he'd had a tat artist come and like elaborate on his link symbol. I saw later it was just the other side of the arm. It's a different thing. But I was interested to see whether he had decided he wanted to part ways with the link symbol and got something else to in a clever way. But anyway, I thought that was funny. We're digressing. I guess I've started to learn and love this card pool, and it has been quite a mission for me as a new player.
Yeah.
And there are parts of it that I kind of feel are foundational as cards, as opposed to just mechanics. And I suppose I will suspect I might find it a bit weird if there's a card called Man Trap in Dawn that does something very similar but just a little bit different. And I totally understand why NSG are doing this. I think like as they become more professional and more of an outfit that's doing direct selling, the organizational risk to their entire project is unacceptable of just reissuing cards that were done by NSG, and I think it's absolutely right they have to do it. I feel a little bit sad about the corporate hellhole that we all live within in capitalism, making it necessary that we can't just keep Shore Gamble, hedge fund, snare, what have you, like a suite of 10 or 15 cards that are just, these belong in the game, these are part of the game, everything else rotates around them. I think that's probably where it comes from for me.
Yeah, so I can see that.
Yeah,
I think that makes a lot of sense.
But I'm looking forward to Dawn. Did you see Andre's stream where he just went through and just shat on the system update 2021?
Whose stream, sorry?
Andre's stream on Tuesday.
No, I've not seen that yet.
He was really jet lagged and a bit more spiky than he normally is, which was hilarious because he's just such a lovely, gentle guy. But he was just like a little bit more like spicy than normal, a little bit less diplomatic. And he was just talking about how he thinks a lot of the set is not very important. And obviously I would defer to his opinion as I do to yours. But it was just very funny because he got the whole thing up on screen. It's just like, no, okay, no, important, no, oh my god, what's this? No. It was really good. It was great content.
Thinking today that it's really interesting that with the release of the Automata Initiative, we are seeing more and more corporate decks and runner decks that do not run hedge fund or Shore Gamble. That there are just better econ options out there, more interesting econ options. It used to be an absolute staple, and you'd go, "Oh my gosh, that deck doesn't run hedge fund if it didn't run a hedge fund."
Yeah.
And now it's quite normal thanks to your digital life and all of the runner econ options. I think if we do end up playing my Worlds deck, that doesn't run hedge funds because it's just got so many other ways it wants to get econ.
I would be surprised if there wasn't a credit option in both factions. Are they factions or both sides?
Both sides.
Both sides. That wasn't in some way a credit trap. That there wasn't this mechanic that if you go below a certain level, for most decks, you really have to dig yourself out of a hole, and that gives a window to your opponent to do some cool stuff that they want to.
Yeah, I would also be surprised.
Yeah.
But we'll see what it looks like in the second half of 2024.
It'll be fun. Should we play some games?
Yeah.
So I'd quite like to play some Arissana.
Yeah.
You took Arissana to Worlds. You actually were the second highest placing Arissana.
Yeah, sure, I'll take that. That's an accurate representation of how I did with this deck.
If you go to Always Be Running and look through the rankings, it's there, the second highest one. I know because in preparation for tonight, I've been through and checked.
Have a read of my deck description of this deck, Dave.
Everybody, I hope, can read it. It's short and to the point. And I would like that. I think that should probably guide our deck choices this evening.
So it's a 50-card Arissana deck, which I think a lot of people don't believe me when I say that I wasn't like really committing to doing well at Worlds. And I point to this deck and say, look, I wasn't really trying very hard to do well at Worlds. I dicked around with it the night before, on the Friday night, and took cards out and added cards in. I took out Bahia Bands, which is definitely a bad choice. It's a really good card, Bahia Bands.
Yeah.
I might have put in Dirty Laundry. I can't remember. I definitely put in a Gachapon, and every time I drew it, I was like, stupid blooming thing. I put in an extra Deep Dive, and that might have won me a game. If I was redesigning this deck right now, I would probably keep in the 2 Deep Dives. I think they're the most interesting thing the deck does. But yeah, it shouldn't be 50 cards. It feels bad to play because when you draw your draw engine, it's sort of fine. When you don't draw your draw engine, you're just sat there drawing, trying to find what you need. As I mentioned, it hasn't got Sure Gambler in it. It hasn't got that burst econ that you need. This is an econ over time engine.
Yeah.
And it just got rushed out a lot on the day. And I will also say, I don't think I piloted it terribly well. This is a difficult deck to pilot, particularly in person.
Yeah. I think you were saying last week you hadn't really played Arissana in person before Worlds.
I played it a couple of times in person. But this deck in particular, so this deck can be very fun. If you get Prognostic Q Loop on the table, there are so many cool options for what to do. But in person, you can so easily miss that trigger. You start a run, and that trigger happens straight away. And if you wait a second to do a different trigger, like an Arissana trigger, or if you let the Court Prayers ice, you can suddenly be like, oh, I didn't do my Prognostic Q Loop trigger, and technically now I'm not allowed to do it. Obviously, in a casual game, your opponent will probably go, oh yeah, sure, you can look at the top 2 cards of the deck, that makes no difference. But actually, at Worlds, I don't feel like you can ask for those sorts of triggers back.
It's the standards have to be higher, don't they?
Yeah.
And rightly so. So I thought we should play another Arissana deck. That would be
I support you playing something that isn't complete dog shit to play. Like, every time I've described this deck, I've been like, my dog shit Arissana deck.
Hey, before we get too deep into Arissana, did you watch Soccer's recap stream?
I didn't get all the way through it, and I started watching it.
So I just want to dial back to your PE deck because I think you described it last week as an unintentional, really good meta call.
Yeah.
And I was really interested watching that stream to see that Soccer said that he'd spent a lot of time prior to World trying to make PE work.
Interesting.
Yeah, which
So
I thought...
in one important respect, I'm better than Soccer. That's what we're...
If we weren't doing Corp this time or Arissana this time, it might be interesting to look because he put on stream the deck that he'd been playing with. So it might have been interesting to do a comparison.
Cool. I will try and watch the rest of that then.
But yeah, I just thought it was really nice that you said you'd stumbled upon a good meta call, and he was obviously thinking along similar lines.
Yeah, like the more I think about it, the more I think just like people don't expect PE asset spam to be good, and so they were not practicing it. And I think that's what made it a good meta call more than anything else.
Yeah,
that people were probably expecting me to be doing something more sophisticated when they sat down across from PE. And it's so easy within a couple of turns to lose the thread of knowing what kind of deck this is.
Yeah.
You know?
But yeah, I just thought that was interesting, so I thought I'd bring up. I would like to play. We're gonna get deep into some hubris here, Jessica. I would like to play a slightly adapted version of the highest placing Arissana, which was Extracts.
Having a look at this deck. Yeah, that looks pretty good.
It's hard to argue with 11th at Worlds.
It is hard to argue with 11th at Worlds.
Watch me. Watch me. No, there's one small change I'd like to make. So I had a look both at this and the third highest below you, which was Mr. Pele's Takobi. And I noticed in this that it was running Corroder instead of Cleaver.
Yeah.
And I thought that this point made here, as Yasengrin said during his data analysis stream, it's not worth spending a credit war when the most played barriers have one strength. That seemed compelling to me, so I would probably propose to just switch the Fracture over and otherwise play Extracts version as is.
Sure, if you'd like to.
Yeah, I feel a little bit sad not playing Slap Vandal because I feel that's quite a core Arissana card. But
Vandal's a very cool card to play with.
Yeah, but I when I looked at the two of them together, I couldn't find a way that I trusted to try and get some Slap Vandals in there that didn't really just make more sense to just switch them back over. And I think that all together, I like the look of this deck a bit more. I like that it's got 3 lily pads rather than 2. I think he makes a good case in his place. He makes a good case for an AS Informant. If you look at the differences between the two, there's quite a lot more resource cards in the Mr. Pele deck. So this is probably really bad content switching between the two, and it's quite hard to follow. But yeah, I think that difference means that it makes sense to have an AS in there. And when you start to factor that in, I don't think there's a good way to tweak it anymore. So I think I can live with not playing Slap Vandal and giving this a try.
Let's do that.
Do you feel, what do you need to do to satisfy yourself that you can teach me to pilot this deck?
I'll start with a little like pre-training.
Yeah.
Which is that so Arissana is a really, really interesting runner because you end up playing kind of aggro and control at the same time. Because you have to make the runs to get the value out of her. Yeah. You absolutely have to.
We should probably say for the benefits of the viewers, I have literally never played Arissana before. Tonight will be my first time. I have looked at her and thought that she looked really interesting, and also incredibly intimidating both to pilot and to deck build for, and so my energies have been elsewhere. But I'm really keen to give it a try, and I think that's the time.
I think this is a good deck to start with. It looks a bit simpler than the kind of absolute nonsense Rube Goldberg machine that mine was trying to create.
Yeah.
The really so a lot of Arissana decks. This one included play clot, and identifying early whether this is a matchup where clot matters or not is really important. If it's a matchup where clot matters, you want to get self-modifying code out on the table, or have a self-modifying code in the bin with a symbol chip, because then you are threatening that clot coming out when they try and fast advance something. I played a game this week live where I reminded my opponent that there was a clot threat on the board whilst I had a clot in hand, and so I couldn't actually do the clot on their turn. But just having that threat there can really like gum up the corp if they are looking to fast advance. But there will be plenty of matchups where it is kind of useless.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much useless. Urban Art Vernissage is another very, very important card for this deck. There are probably better Arissana players than me who will disagree with what I'm about to say, but the kind of real sort of the nuts opening would be something like Sure Gamble, Environmental Testing, Urban Art Vernissage, and Ika. It's the only 4 cards. I'll throw a Creative Commission in there to make it absolutely like Magical Christmas Land. Ika specifically because it's free to put down, and it's the one Trojan that you can install and you don't have to put on a piece of ice. So if you run and install it, the corp can't trash it, short of public trial retribution or something. But whereas anything else, they can trash it by trashing the ice that it's on. It's perhaps not as big value as something like Cuban, but it's Cubans tend to get trashed by good opposition players because they recognize they make their ice completely worthless. And everything else to credit. So everything else is a bit makes your Urban Art Vernissage not make you 2 credits a time, makes it only get you 1 credit at a time, which isn't bad, but is a big difference to 2 credits a turn.
Yeah. Can we just start back to what the big picture stuff you were saying? So I kind of interrupted you, so that's my bad, really. You're saying Arissana is interesting because she allows you to play both control and I forget the term. And aggro, yeah.
Yeah. You're kind of forced into playing aggro because you are forced to make runs to get the value out of her.
Yeah.
But because she's got a shape of card pool, because she's got things like self-modifying code, which are designed for playing control, putting that card on the board and saying, whatever ice you put on the remote server, I can potentially get through it. Like, I've got whatever I need right now. And like one of the archetype things you can do with Arissana is install a self-modifying code during a run and then pop it so it doesn't get trashed by Arissana's ability.
Yeah.
That's an incredible thing to be able to do.
So, we're doing some really basics here. Control in Netrunner terminology is being a runner who has such a dominant board state that the corp is unable to do the types of things they want to.
Yeah. Is forced to dial it back and slow down and look for new ways to prevent you getting into their servers because you have control of the board.
Yeah.
You can also play criminal control by just like smashing their credit total over and over again with doof and stuff like that, but Shaper tends to be the big control faction.
Cool. Any other tips before we get started?
if I was giving a tip to me, I would say that I probably need to be more aggressive than I have been. And I think that actually that, like, for most decks, most new players, maybe just accept that you are going to run into some, like, unfortunate ice. But if you never run, you will lose. So, if there's any deck-specific advice, Hush is a good thing to have in your opening hand because it deals with a lot of problems, but it does also require like a really intimate knowledge of the ice pool, which I will try and help you with. And in some cases, it's the worst possible thing that you can install if you do it before a res. Oh, Takobi. Are you familiar with Takobi as a card?
No, it says something about it in the write-up. No, it says that's part of the name in Mr. Pele's deck, which suggests that it was considered important and significant card.
It's good if you get a matchup where your opponent has lots of low strength ice that you can break over and over again, and then a few bits of high strength ice, which is relatively common. For whatever reason, people stop playing K2CP Turbine, presumably because it costs 4 credits to install, and they play, and because maybe the breakpoints aren't great on it, they play this instead.
It's in the write-up, actually.
It's a hard card to know exactly when you should get it out because it does not give you value usually on the turn that you install it. But I mean, if you've got Lily Pad down and you've got credits on Urban Art Vernissage, it's a perfectly reasonable thing to just drop on the board.
Yeah. Helps with environmental counters as well, which the Turbine is a hardware, right? Is that right? No.
Turbine is also a program. Okay. JNet will help you with this, but also do keep an eye on your MU. I got a game loss playing Arissana and having an illegal board state for several times. If it had just been one turn, they would have only made me track a program. But I was like, no, I'm really sorry. I've been installing and reinstalling this with Urban Art Vernissage, and I've gotten credits. I've spent credits. Like, I'm fairly certain this is unresolved. I called the judge on myself when I realised it was happening. And I, to be fair, had lost that game anyway. By the time I realised that they won 6 points and I was on 0, and all their stuff was really well iced.
I'm glad that we won't have to think about that part. So I think my brain's probably going to melt. Let's see how we get on. It's been a while since we did this, isn't it?
In a minute.
That's all of the things, isn't it? And I'm showing my screen, which you can see, so we don't need to worry about you spectating or anything daft like that. And we want to be a runner. Cool.
I guess the one question to ask is, how much help do you want?
So we talked about this last week, and I said not very much, and then it was late, and we'd had quite a stressful time with technical failure, and basically I completely clammed up, and I felt quite bad on the stream, having said, "Don't tell me what to do," and then I was just like, "Oh." I think quite a lot. I think the default certainly should be that you're suggesting plays to me. Maybe pause for a moment in case like something pops into my head and I want to verbalize it without any steer. But I would imagine that for most of our decisions, I will be asking you what I think we should do and querying it if I have any disagreement, rather than I should be saying what I think we should do and then you can query that.
Cool.
That was very long-winded, wasn't it? It bodes well for the game. It bodes well for the game, doesn't it? I'm already hard to understand. Hey, Alero, welcome to the stream.
Does that mean you're seeing some stream chat that I'm not, Dave?
No, I can't see it either.
Okay.
Let me see. I'll try and put us up there. They won't be too horizontal, will they? What do you think of our hands, Jessica?
What do I think of your hand? I think your hand's pretty good. It has both urban art and environmental testing. It would be nice for there to be. It would be nice if there was a Trojan in there already, but I think that you could just have a setup turn.
Okay.
That you might want to use Bahia bands. If they don't literally ice everything up, you might consider running Bahia bands on the best server. Bahia bands in. Drawing and then installing. Hang on, let me think for a sec. Ordering these things is so difficult.
I will start our turn. I think that much is clear.
All right.
I suspect we'll want to end with Creative Commission.
Yes. So I'm thinking take a credit. Install environmental testing. Do Bahia bands, draw and install. And if you don't get something a bit better, install the corroder.
Yeah.
And then you've got to click left for creative.
And the credits?
Creative is the last thing I said.
Yes, but will we have the credits left? I haven't added them up.
So if you take a credit at the start, you should have enough to do all of those things.
Okay.
So environmental testing next.
Yes. Thank you. Bahia bands. Okay. 3 and yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
I'll let you pick the server.
I haven't even thought about their board state and what they're doing. Bahia bands have to be successful. One of these might well be a spin doctor.
Yeah, it would be a bit rough if it was a spin doctor, but they would literally be spinning one card back, which isn't terrible. You might want to go for the safe option, which is just HQ.
I think so, because if I was them, I would see the chance to leave us on one, and I would find that quite amusing. So I would probably do the grief spin doctor. So let's go for HQ.
Oh, that's R&D. Well, they're not resting. But it's still the sporting thing to do to take it back, even though I suspect it's the higher value server. So Bahia bands HQ.
Yeah.
Don't just run HQ, Dave. Bahia bands.
Deary me. What a mess.
At least we're not on stream. That's what I would say.
Yeah, no one can see. It's fine. Right. HQ.
Yeah.
Reach the server.
Draw first.
Okay. Neither of those is program we want to install. Or card we want to install, I think.
Also, I've miscalculated our credits. We're not going to have enough credits for creative, but that's not actually the end of the world.
So install a card from the grip playing one less.
Yep. And make it corroder.
Yeah.
Cool.
Trash it.
Trash that.
Yeah. And take a credit, right?
Yeah, take a credit because you're not going to use that in air format. So why let them know that you've got it?
Yeah, makes sense. Okay. Just apologizing for things. Okay, the resing of Tranquid and installing over the top of it. And then icing. So presumably server 2 is a spin. I can't think of a reason that they would not have resed Rashida, for example.
Yep. I would start with drawing.
Yeah, I think so. Okay.
And maybe again.
That's a dead card. Okay. We could draw again. We're going to discard one of these urban arts, right? There's no reason to have more than one.
Yeah.
Draw
and then
and install creative. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, that will get us some decent draw next turn.
Yeah. And off we go.
Yeah, she'd be slow to set up.
Okay. This is an interesting server. Do you think that might be Skunk Void being?
Yeah, I think they're building a Skunk Void.
Yeah.
I think they're building a Skunk Void.
Cool.
So it's probably get Nuka on the table and draw with them.
Nuka, draw. How about then Aeneas and then
run potentially?
Yeah. Okay, that's some interesting cards. We've got a Hush. We've got Takobi. Got another Buyer Band. So if we do an AS and then run, it's a last click run. Probably.
Yeah, but you're not expecting a snare, I don't think.
No. So I think I'm okay with that. Do we want to do any cool Arissana things when we run there? That's the question.
It's difficult with Hush. It's the one I'd probably least like to just install somewhere because you never know what you're hushing.
And Takobi, we don't want to because it will get trashed, right?
Yes, it would get trashed by Arissana's ability.
Yeah.
But we could install it with Bahia Bands. That is a possibility. To almost completely fire off. I'm trying to work out the economy.
We want to pump up this environmental testing, really, don't we?
Yeah.
So maybe Buyer Bands.
An Ace Informant Bahia Bands, I think, is a perfectly reasonable turn. And then maybe next turn get down the Urban Art Vernissage.
Yeah. Okay, I'll put down an Ace Informant. If we buy a Bands and draw, are we going to end up with cards in our hand that we don't really want to discard, but we have to?
Yes. So maybe don't do that.
Yeah.
Maybe, in fact,
just run and install Takobi using Arissana's
ability. Yeah, do that.
Yeah.
Don't install Takobi with Arissana's thing. Install Hush with Arissana's thing. Takobi will get trashed.
Okay. Oh yeah, because we can put down Urban Art, can't we, and get the get Hush back.
Yeah.
Later.
Not this turn, but next turn we can.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Run HQ. Now, do I click on Arissana to activate this?
Yes, you do.
Okay, and that's Hush. Which of these should we Hush? Let's do server one. You think R&D?
I think R&D.
Should we let them have whatever's in server one?
I mean, there's nothing we can do about it. We've got no more clicks this turn, so yes.
Yeah, fine. Another Trank Grid, which we can't trash.
But we do get a coin for it. I think I've never used an AS Informant.
Yes. And then we end the turn. Cool.
Okay,
they've got Rashida. So this isn't Skunk Void because it's Trank Grid and something else.
Yeah.
We want to get rid of that and then Trank Grid, don't we? Okay, they've double iced it and they've advanced it once.
Yeah. So we probably want to nuke her again.
I think so, yeah. That was my suggestion. Okay. Oh, plot.
This doesn't feel like a fast advanced deck to me. It could be. They could have a faster advanced option there. But I think this is going to be something more like seamless. And they've probably got MIC on the server. It's that new 6 to res code gate.
Okay, yeah.
I would get down the Aeneas.
Run HQ
Aeneas,
again.
yeah, Aeneas run HQ again for 2 credits. I don't think we buy here band 6 because we don't want to draw.
We could install Takobi, which would give us another environmental testing credit.
Yep.
So we could buy her bands and
you don't want to do any of the other things though, because
well, what about trash?
But then you don't get the Aeneas credits.
Ah, yeah, good point. Okay, yeah.
And you don't necessarily hit anything trashable either.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna just play the other Aeneas.
Aeneas to Kobe.
Run.
Yeah, run or creative. We're not loving having all these cards in our hand, so maybe creative instead. I don't. Maybe there's an agenda in HQ. Let's run.
Takobi first.
You want to get urban? No, get urban art vernissage down. Get urban art vernissage down, definitely.
Okay.
So run first, just in case we hit something horrible, and then urban art.
It's that flipping widow again.
Yeah, don't trash it. Just take the 2 credits.
Yeah. Boom. Okay.
This is a classic example of an FFG card that just feels a bit pushed and a bit boring. And get urban art down.
Yeah. Okay. Oh no! Oh, I'm so sorry.
Undo click. We can just undo click, Dave.
Yeah. That's open art, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then lose Ote the Clock.
Yeah.
Because we'll find eventually a semi check if we actually need it. It's actually more of a threat up in the heap than it is on the board.
Sounds good.
So that's interesting. Why have they advanced that to 3 is the question.
Advanced ice.
It's a very unusual play pattern. Okay, start turn. Take Hush back. If you click take clicks, it will offer you to take Hush back.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay. We can fire environmental testing this turn.
Yeah. Play Takobi.
Yes. Play Takobi using environmental, urban art credits.
Yeah. Nice. That's a good card.
Okay, and I know we're assuming that's a Spin Doctor in server 2, but if we run server 2, we have priority and we can install the Hush first, which will fire the environmental testing.
Perfect. Okay, so my goodness, I'm so glad that I'm doing this. Okay, so I'm really glad I'm doing this with you to tell me what to do, because I would be so lost. Which ice? HQ ice? R&D ice?
Let's do HQ. It doesn't matter that much.
Yeah. Let's just see if they can do anything with this. Okay. It's another Tranquility home grid.
Indeed it is. So we don't want to trash it. We'll get 2 credits for looking at it.
Yeah. Okay. I think we want to play another nuker probably and hit it, don't you reckon?
That would take us to 6 cards in hand. I would suggest we want
No,
to
it
play,
won't. It'll be 5 because we'll have Nuka out of hand.
but it draws 3 cards when you click it.
Oh yeah, so it does. 2 power counters, 3 cards.
If you played environmental testing and Bahia bans on what we now know is a Tranquility home grid, I think that's a really good value pair of plays.
And
draw and potentially install.
Of course, yeah. And if we don't install, we can just trash the Frank grid, right?
Yeah. I mean, we can always install the Nuka, so we have something we definitely want to install.
Yeah, yeah, cool. Okay.
So environmental testing first, Dave.
Sorry. Thank you.
Can you see what an absolute nightmare this was to do live?
I can't even imagine. Okay, and
Bar here into server 2.
Okay. So draw 2.
2.
Okay. Do we want to install the buzzsaw?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
We can recover from it next turn, and it starts firing environmental testing, and we're starting to get our rig up.
And we are not going to trash the
we don't
grid.
trash that. No, at the moment it's
we've got 2 an air symbol,
which is nice.
Yeah, awesome. Let's make them trash or ice it. That's really funny. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so I think it's time to think about what ice we might be worried about. So we've got a decoder, we've got a fractor.
We're worried about drafter. We're really worried about drafter.
Are we though?
I mean, getting a free Rashida and a free hedge fund feels bad, but on the other hand, they're already on 19 credits, so
yeah,
maybe we don't care.
I think it's time to start messing with server 1. I think they've had things their own way for too long. This is the kind of attitude that gets me flatlined frequently, but that's how I feel about it.
I don't think we get into server 1 with. Let's see, we could get up to 12 credits. And there's something in there, which could be a Managarm or something.
Should we get the hashback?
Yeah, might as well. It's not doing anything for us there.
Yeah.
Okay, here's what I would propose.
Go for it.
We install and use Dr. Nuka.
Yep.
We want to start pivoting to R&D. That's what we want to start doing.
Okay.
We're looking for Lilypad. We're looking for SMC, although we can't use it at the moment, so we'd be looking for DZMZ first. There's an argument that I misplayed by saying install Buzzsaw, and we should have installed the Dr. Nuka last time. So we're going to install it now, and we're not using the Buzzsaw yet. But
I'm going to start with Nuka and draw, because I agree with you. So, I can use Urban Art. Oh, the split of cards is so good. I'm really looking forward to understanding how it all works and being able to use it. Nuka. Okay, we've got a DZMZ. We've got Cuban.
So now I would actually suggest we do run R&D, because we can install, even if it is drafter.
Yeah.
We can install the Cuban on it and at least get 2 credits for going in there. Probably 4, because an AS Informant fires, and we don't mind them. So I would say just run R&D.
Yeah, because Cuban costs 0 to install. There's no point in putting the DZMZ down first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. R&D. Install now.
Install now.
Yeah. And it is a Hagen.
Which we can break. We don't love to break it.
Yeah.
It's at what, 4? So it's going to cost us 4 credits to break. Fine. We should consider ourselves really lucky that we didn't install the hush on there, or it would be 6 strength forever, or at least until we get the hush off. But this is probably a credit neutral run.
Yeah. Okay. Counter. And yeah. Power counter onto Kobe. Happy days.
Yeah.
And reserver. It's Managam Skunk Works.
Ugh, yuck. Yeah, trash it. We can recover with
a hedge fund, right?
Creative.
Oh, or creative.
Creative.
Yeah, cool. And creative.
And next time we can install DZMZ for free.
Yes. Yes. Cuban comes back and give us. Wow, they like server 1.
They love server 1.
Yeah, they're keen on it.
It is. They don't like us running R&D, which is fine.
It's to be expected.
Yeah.
And they are intimating that they're planning to score out again next turn.
Yeah, they've not found their seamlesses, which is nice for us.
Yeah. So we take Cuban back.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
They're down to 10 credits as well, which is nice. I would consider Nikering first.
Yeah, sounds good. Hey, Conduit. Hey, Ika. Hey, SMC. We have an embarrassment of riches in our hands, Jessica.
We do. And I think it goes install DZMZ.
Yeah.
Hedge fund run. See, this is where it gets difficult. We want to eventually start Conduit running R&D, right?
Yes.
For that, we're going to need to. We want to find our lily pad. It's frustrating to have not found lily pad yet.
Yes, and there are 3 in this deck. I mean, that's one of the reasons I was keen on running this one in particular.
I think we still. I mean, there's a case for running the remote server. Like, how much ice can they actually res on 10 credits? Right? They don't know.
I agree with that. Yeah, I think we've let them have free reign in credits for a bit too long.
So let's hedge fund run the remote.
Yeah.
We have solutions if they res a sentry.
So we run the remote, and do we
run server 1?
Server 1, thank you. Do we at this stage are we installing Eco?
We might do if they res a sentry, but we can res it. We can install it after.
So we see what they do.
Or we will need to think about the maths, but we might install SMC and Echelon instead.
Okay. Okay, I'll start the run. And I'll continue to the movement. So they res, and then we can decide to install something. Is that how it works? Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So there is currently a window. We have priority. We have pass priority. If they also pass priority, the window closes. If they don't pass priority, the window goes back to us.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I'm vaguely remembering things I've heard said about Arissana, which are about if you'd want to put Cuban or Pikachu down, you have to do it before they decide to res. Because if they don't decide to res, you've passed.
Yeah, you might want to tell them actually that we have no action.
Okay. Yeah.
Otherwise, they'll just wait forever. Because we've been a little bit slow on a couple of these. We also, so there is a horrible possibility that what they have in there is Project Eka, and we can't steal it anyway.
Yeah, because we don't have a click.
Yeah. They are hopefully just thinking and haven't disconnected.
I wonder if we disconnected. Shall I No, I'm typing in there and it's working, aren't I? So
Yeah,
that's
so
yes,
you're
we're not
connected.
disconnected. Yeah. Um, they've judged the tempo of our play and decided to make a cup of tea because they saw we started to run.
I wouldn't blame them at
No,
all.
no, me neither.
Um,
Uh, I wonder if they're very taciturn as an opponent. They don't seem to have much to say. I wonder if they're
Most
operating.
opponents don't, to be fair.
What's that?
Has this game died? Is the question. I didn't feel like we took that long for this turn. Maybe we were a little bit too full.
Yeah, I don't think we were terrible.
That's frustrating.
Yeah.
This is going to be at very least an interesting run.
Yeah. I'm going to press the reload button just to see if that changes anything.
Yeah, I don't think it will. I think you're connected fine. And if something's happened to them, I don't know what it is because they're not communicating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That hasn't made any difference.
So this kind of thing happens to me relatively often playing on JNet. I've never seen it happen to any of the popular streamers, and I've always wondered why not. And I guess they're just lucky. I guess a lot of them are playing from a bit closer to the server, and maybe I have occasionally seen like games.
I've definitely seen streams where people were like really struggling with more with it being slow than like random disconnections. Really, yeah.
Lazy says, "Hey all, hope the day is going well. Glad to see a comically tall server one. We'd love to like see what the ice is on comically tall server one, but I think we might have to abandon this game, Dave.
Yeah. Should we give them any longer, or should we just say it's done?
Just say sorry to Lazy, and we should go.
Yeah.
I don't like very occasionally when this happens. I'm like, they walked away in frustration. I don't think that's what's happened here. Like, I mean, unless they're frustrated at our slow play, I think they're in quite a good position still. The game might have been just about to turn, but they were like,
yeah. I think it was just about to get interesting, really. But let's try another one. Yeah.
What did you think of that, Dave? It's fiercely complicated, isn't it? Even before you're doing very much to get everything in the right order. And
I thought it was a fun learning experience, honestly. I felt a little bit bad for the person who was playing opposite us just because we were slow.
So we warn the next person we're likely to be a little bit slow.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Xiaat, whose name I think I recognise.
I think I recognise that name too. Only from like playing on JNet. But I think you saw that like there were a number of turns where like I made a mistake on this is horrible.
This
is an Arissana nightmare. That's not a terrible opening hand. It's not great either. That Urban Art Vernissage and no draw is a bit like, if we drew into exactly Cuban, it would be great. Yeah. But I think we mulligan this.
Cool. Okay, we've got Nuka, Commission, Gamble, Hush, and Environmental Testing.
Actually, that's a really nice opening hand. Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what kind of op we're against. Although I do feel like ob builds have homogenized over the last 6 months.
Yeah.
I do, yeah. I do feel that there's a lot of it's much more kill inflected than it felt in the early ob days. That's my feeling.
So I don't think we care that much about getting that hush down this turn.
Okay.
Which means that we also don't care that much about environmental testing. I think this might be a very setup turn. I think it might be sure gamble, nuker, click nuker, and then probably creative commission unless we see something amazing.
Sounds good. Yeah. That's
creative commission. I think it's
yeah.
This might be an asset oblist, in which case Aeneas is great. And indeed, I'd recommend getting Aeneas down this turn and just checking what's in that server.
Draw hedge fund. Yeah. Yeah. So Aeneas and then run.
Well, I'm wondering if we go Aeneas environmental testing and then install Cuban on the run, but it gives them an opportunity to trash whatever it is that we've installed it on is the only thing.
Yeah,
but maybe we live with that.
When we get it back. There are 3 in the deck. I mean, if they want to
there
trash their ice this early on.
It's a free quarter of an environmental testing.
Yeah, and we could just leave it there on R&D or HQ. Give them the thing that they need to deal with. Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay.
So
Aeneas,
environmental, run.
Yeah. Run server 1 and install Cuban.
And then we could have a click left. And we're probably going to draw quickly with it, but
Cuban. On R&D.
Yeah, I think they're a little bit less likely to trash R&D.
Yeah.
Okay.
Spin Doctor. They haven't given us priority back, which means they're considering flipping it.
They're considering whether they want to spend a Spin Doctor on. I mean, we need to consider it's essentially 3 credits to trash, so we get 1 for not trashing it. I think we take the 1 here.
Yeah, I don't want to trash it, I think.
Yeah, we might regret it later. And then nuke a draw, I guess.
Yeah, makes
all
sense.
Good for last click. It's famously what. Okay.
Cool.
Obviously, we need breakers, but
yeah. We probably want to put the Urban Art down next turn.
Yeah, although I suspect they'll trash whatever ice we put it on. We could go Urban Art, DZMZ. Do we want to just say fuck it and run their HQ? I think maybe we should have tracked that Spin Doctor because I think they can fix their hand now.
They drew twice, didn't they? We should have thought in the previous turn. We should have thought of that before we when we were deciding about the Spin Doctor. The icing the Spin Doctor.
The icing the Spin Doctor. This is
shit. Just got real. This is not a drill. The Spin Doctor is ice. So they want to fire it later. Is what they're saying with that.
Yeah.
Okay. They've iced everything.
They have. I'm gonna say just start running these servers and see what happens.
Yeah.
Don't start with R&D. Start with literally anywhere else.
HQ?
Maybe start with. They put exactly 1 card in archives. I wouldn't mind them forcing them to do a low value Spin Doctor.
Yeah, sounds good. We're on archives.
Yeah, or server 1. Server 1, if they don't res, we could get an AS credit again. No, yeah, run server 1. Run server 1.
Surely if we get into server 1, we want to trash it this time.
Yeah, but I think they'll pop it.
Yeah, okay. So run server 1. It's border control. Okay.
Okay. Border control files.
Yeah. Another thing they could mean by icing this is that they want us to run it and they want the chance to pop the border control and get a 3-coster. That's
yeah, although they can't do it now.
Yes.
Run HQ, run R&D.
Okay. Do we want to do any installing of things while we?
I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
They probably got an extract in hand, I would think.
Okay. They do indeed have an extract in hand.
Damn, I'm good.
We should have got a credit for an AS and we didn't.
I think we should have as well. Did we not get the prompt for it?
No.
Read me the text on an AS. I'm not missing something. Oh, I think it's only if it has a trash cost.
With the trash cost. Okay, that's it. That's what I'm missing. Archives now? R&D?
Yeah, run archives and then run R&D last, I would say.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. That was a pivot.
A pivot, which is bizarre. Do we want to run R&D last click? It seems hubristic to do so.
They have been saving their credits.
No, let's install Urban Art Vernissage.
Okay, yeah.
Make them ice if they want to trash it.
Yeah, sounds good.
So an important thing to realize is we can hush that border control if and when we want to.
Yeah.
I think there's agendas in HQ. I don't know why they're not resing HQ. They've been through what, 13 cards? Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 13 cards. 5 of they've trashed that.
Okay.
I'm not surprised.
But it doesn't give them a trigger, does it? Because it was not resed.
No, resed. Whatever the ice was, they wanted it.
Yeah.
Okay. So our problem is that could easily be an Atlas in server 1.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to have a real hard time getting to it. So let's start our turn.
Lazy says they haven't got to play Arissana yet because they're a little worried about the complexity. Same, Lazy. I advise having a good friend teach you to do it on stream. It's an interesting mix of high pressure and like being really nice and cozy.
I would draw first.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's another NAS. This is familiar.
Not very useful on this board today.
Draw again.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Buzzsaw.
It's all right.
Doesn't get us into server 1, which is a shame.
Okay, we could install DZMZ.
Mm-hmm.
And then we could run server 1.
Mm-hmm.
We have priority and we install a hush on border control and we just bounce off it. And we start getting urban art credits that way.
Okay. So DZM says.
Yep, because it makes the hush free.
Okay, yep. Cool. Run server 1.
We have priority, so we install
the hush on the border control.
Yeah, which they might install over again.
Yeah.
But at some point they run out of ice doing this.
Yeah.
And we just let it fire.
Yeah. And enter.
Mm-hmm.
It's Rashida.
Yeah. So you find when you don't find lily pads, and this is the second game where we haven't found it early, you end up drawing a lot.
Yeah.
What you need.
My only consolation is that we do have a deck with 3 lily pads in, and it's also a 45 card deck, so we've done it literally everything we can to find lily pads.
Absolutely.
And therefore it's JNet's fault and not ours.
Yeah.
Talking of JNet's fault, this is a slow start to a turn.
I mean, they have just drawn 4 cards, right? So they might be.
Yeah, considering the next move.
The legend says that means they've drawn 3 agendas and they're working out what the fuck to do. They really don't want to give us urban art.
No. Xiaat as a Philistine hates art. You heard it here first. I'm sure they're a lovely person. I'm being really silly. Okay, so
Start turn.
No, I'm just trying to get my head around what they did. So they trashed the border control, installing new ice. They gained a credit, and they installed a card in server 2. Why would they gain a credit here? Is there a particular combination of ice that they are looking to res? I wonder.
I think we start with drawing again.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, and again?
Yeah. Yeah. Most of their ice is going to be end of the run, which we don't love.
Hey, that's what we're looking for. So we could lily pad and then make a run.
We could, if we want to be bold, we could lily pad, run server 2. We can install Pikachu on the way in, drawing us a card and firing environmental testing. Hopefully, I think we let them res first. I think forcing them to like repeatedly trash their res dice is quite good. They seem really keen on not letting us have urban art credits.
So how do we let them res first?
Like we don't take our action window.
Yeah.
We can still install after we've passed. We just won't get the value from Pikachu.
Gotcha. Yeah, okay. So lily pad and run server 2. Yeah, cool.
Oh, a lily pad actually fires environmental testing. So do we want to run server 2? Yeah, run server 2. Make them res something.
Yeah, okay.
Tell them no action. So I don't think we get the value either way because like it's a sandstone. So we might as well install the Pikachu
on the sandstone. Now they've resed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. The cards. Let's far away on your unbroken subroutines. And we end up down. So now hopefully we found out what was in server 2 all along. Not all along. Okay. That's interesting. Okay. So over install. And
Yeah,
let's
just
see the
get some
regolith.
credits.
Wonder what that was then. I feel like I really want to run archives now.
Yeah, we've had some very unusual play patterns so far.
Do we
Yeah,
want to take the
take it
picture
back.
back? Yeah. Cool.
We want a cleaver. We want echelon. We can essentially make 2 credits and a draw per turn just by running that sandstone if we want.
Is it better to be running other servers?
Yeah, let's
get
run
them to
HQ.
res?
We've got on HQ.
Yeah. Okay, so run HQ
Yeah, run HQ.
and install
Let them res.
Pikachu. Or let them res first. Yeah.
Let them res. And I install Cuban actually, rather than Pikachu.
Okay.
Pikachu's really valuable.
So we want to, yeah. So we'll continue to move. We'll do the install after they res, like last
Yes,
time.
please.
Is that what we're suggesting? Yeah, cool. Okay, it's an ice wall. Install the Cuban.
And then we draw Corroder.
Yes, we do. We do. Boom. Okay.
Let Unbroken Subroutines fire.
Yeah.
Install the Corroder, I would say.
Sounds good. Yeah. Using the credits from Urban Arts. Yeah. And
run HQ.
Okay.
For a +1 credit, possibly +2 credits each time. Or do you think we go in and take that out?
The regolith.
Yeah. Actually, fuck it. Yeah, take the regolith out.
I'm tempted to. I feel that they're just at the credit level where if we poke the other centrals, we might be able to get them low and struggling. But if this regolith stays up, they'll go above that level, and our chances of contesting stuff economically is gone.
Take out the regolith.
Yeah.
I
like your little hand waving gesture there. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
72. So, boom.
Interesting. That's exactly what it would have cost if this had been a cleaver instead of a Corroder.
Yeah.
And then we're going to want to run HQ last fix. It's at a minimum credit positive.
Oh. Okay. Well, that's maybe I've got my wish to look into archives. I think we end the run here. Right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think we probably end the run here.
It would be annoying if we lost the buzzsaw, right?
We have got, is it 3 Thimble chips in the list?
I believe so, yeah.
And they've not presenting any threat is my only thing. And it's a lot of money on there. I don't know. It's up to you.
Yeah, I think bounce off it. I think let them have it, and let's mess with them elsewhere. And
then run HQ.
Yep.
For 1 or maybe 2 credits.
It's extract again.
It is, which it starts to feel like they have got stuff in archives because they've drawn a lot now.
Yeah.
Unless this is a 3-pointers deck, which is a possibility.
If they don't install a spin doctor this turn, I'm strongly in favour of them running archives. Okay. Okay, they're suggesting to us that they have. Oh, I missed.
Yeah, they've clicked Regolith twice and they
All
installed
right,
something.
yeah, that's what's happened. Yeah. Okay. So take a clicks.
Take clicks, take Urbnar, take Cuban back.
Yeah.
You want to run archives.
I do want to run archives. Should we just do that first? See what happens.
Yeah, and we could always install. We don't want to install the Cuban on the way in because we want to get our DZMZ trigger. So maybe we install Buzzsaw first, using for effectively 1 credit.
I say run and then install Buzzsaw during the run.
No, because we'll lose it. So install Buzzsaw with a click.
Okay, yeah. God, it feels so pedestrian having to use a click for this. Yeah.
Oh, and there we go. That's nice. That gets us some value off this archives run.
So we'll run that. Draw 2.
Yeah, draw 2. We have got targets. They're not amazing.
Yeah.
We need to think about what happens if they res another former crew, but I don't think they're going to. Breach server. Draw 2.
Okay.
None of these are amazing value, are they? We forgot to use Arissana on that run. It's now too late to.
Oh really?
Yeah, because the run's successful.
Okay.
That's my bad. I think Takobi is actually quite good here. Let's get Takobi down.
Okay, cool.
That's interesting. It's a clearinghouse list.
Okay. That is interesting. Okay, we need to bear that in mind. Was that what was overinstalled? That's what was overinstalled, wasn't it?
Yeah, we do want to get that. Let's just install Cuban on that former crew. It's the most annoying ice to us at the moment, so we don't mind them trashing it so much. And it's a click for 2 credits next turn, right?
Okay, yeah. So as in use a click to install it. You don't want to do a run.
We're worried about Stavka and things like that, so that's why we're not running these unres ice.
Yeah, sounds good. So that goes on the former crew.
Yeah, and then we just chill gamble for last click.
Yep, I like it.
I feel like we've been missing agendas in HQ. I really do.
I think we must have. It's been a while, hasn't it? What, we turn 8 and there's not been a sniff of an agenda anywhere, has there?
There hasn't. No. This could just be a pure kill deck, of course, and that's just running 5/3s, but that's a very odd thing. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, this feels like a pure kill deck.
Yeah.
So I think when we do run, wherever we run, we need to be conscious of the fact that we are likely to. What am I trying to say? We are likely to run into snares at some point in this list, I think.
Yep. Yeah, plan accordingly.
Yeah.
So we've seen a clearinghouse, we've seen a tithe.
And they're just getting money for their last pick.
Yeah. Maybe I think in retrospect, I feel you were probably right to take that form of Guri on the chin and trash the Regolith. So it goes.
I think we start by drawing.
Yep.
And then I think we install that and we keep drawing, frankly.
Okay.
I know we're going to discard cards, but
Are we able to hush the... No, we can't break the Stavka.
yeah, we haven't got any way to break it at the moment. We need to find... That doesn't break Stavka.
No, that's not what we're after, is it? We've got a lily pad already. We've got Biobands.
I don't want to install the pick chow if we can avoid it.
So we've got 2 cards in our hand that are dead cards, right? We could definitely draw again.
I think we install the Aeneas Informant. I think this is eventually going to come down to credits. And we drop one of the 2 cards. We drop the Lily Pad. We don't drop the Urban Art because I think they're going to score our Atlas at some point and take out our Urban Art.
Okay, yeah. Aeneas.
They are currently not presenting a threat.
So drop the other Lily Pad, you say?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Oh, big deal.
But they've not scored whatever it is. So I'm... Oh, because the other card's hostile infrastructure and that's a clearinghouse. Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was about to say I think it's a clearinghouse. Cool. So
what do we care about losing? Not very much of this.
do we want to use Biobands for a run into the presumed hostile architecture?
Yes. And if we probably want to install our Mimic off of it.
Okay.
Because that currently deals with all of the like horrible ice that they've got.
Yeah. Cool. Let's start with that.
Yeah, let's do that.
Cool. So server 3. We use the Biobands, not Arissana, to install the Mimic, is what you're suggesting?
Yes.
Cool. Oh, Moonpool.
Oh no. I know what's happening.
What's happening?
So that's on 5. That's really unfortunate for a start. Now what we have to do is we have to Dr. Nuka and run this server because they are very clearly presenting a fork, much like the one that I presented the other week, where it's... Okay, so we run server 2.
Just a straight run.
Just a straight run, I think.
Do you want to use Arissana?
Yes, we want to use Arissana to get Ika down. Cool. Because there is a decent chance. It's going to draw us a card anyway.
Yeah. So it's card neutral.
Yep. And Urtica doesn't kill us. Admittedly, Cerebral Overwriter kills us, and that would be a very funny way for us to die, considering what I've been up to recently. Actually, I mean, it doesn't kill us; it just gives us 0 hand size.
Yeah. Right. So we want to break this with Broder.
Yep. Yes,
Kobe.
please.
Deserve reconstruction contract.
Remind me what that card does.
Move any number of advancement tokens from reconstruction contract to a card that can be advanced. Okay, so they have,
in fact, done exactly what I was worried they were going to do.
Are we trashing it?
Yep. So we now have a hand size of 0, yeah?
-1. We have 1 click in which to win the game, which I think we
I
can't.
thought it only had 5 counters on it. Was I misreading it?
It's 6.
Oh, I misread it. That's why I was like, oh, it's fine, whatever happens.
Yeah.
I misread it as 5. So that's GG.
GG. Well done, Xiaat.
Yeah, and totally deserved that we lose a game like that after what I've been up to lately. That's a cool deck, though. I mean, no, we can't win with 1 click. We die.
Cool. So what options did we have there that were better than what we did? Running archives would have been a really good option, actually. Right, that would have taken.
Would have been a good option.
That would have taken to send the message out and meant that the Moonpool play was impossible.
I mean, the problem is that if we don't run that Rococo, they turn it into a clearinghouse next turn anyway. Right?
Can they do that before the start of their turn?
I think so. Read me the text on reconstruction contract.
Let's find it. Blah, 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 meat damage, advancement tokens. Yeah, trash ability, move any number of advancement tokens from a reconstruction contract to a card that can be advanced.
Okay. I'm going to assume if JNet lets you do it, that you can do it. But if JNet didn't let you do it, my intuition would be that you can't do that because the card isn't currently on the board. But
Yeah.
we've just had it happen to us, so...
Yeah, I feel exactly the same. It feels slightly odd that that's possible, but I have a feeling I've heard people talk about how it is, and I am assuming that if Xiaat builds a deck out of it, they will have checked whether it's a legal move, because that seems to be one of the main plays of the deck.
Yeah. That's really cool. I've never had that in a game before. That was... And it's extremely difficult to play around, because once they found that reconstruction contract and the Moonpool, admittedly, okay, there were a lot of moving parts that they needed a big deal as well. But even if we'd run it when it was on 2 or 3 counters, you have to run, once you know there are clearinghouse in the deck, you have to run stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And there are then 2 options. Yeah, the classic clearinghouse cerebral fork is, which of these 2 things is it? Now, 2 out of the 3 are bad, because reconstruction contract also fucks you up, and also you can't just ignore reconstruction contract because they can do that with it. It's cool.
It's cool.
Presumably it's not good, or we'd have seen a load of it at Worlds. Presumably there's some trick that's just like, oh, I know what this is. Oh, we need to concede, Dave.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to try and get one more in tonight?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Cool. Let's do. I was like, this is going relatively well. We've done a lot of good setup and stuff. We just need to go and pick out that clearinghouse. I think
I had a feel it was a sort of this is too quiet moment for me.
But to be honest, if you turn it into cerebral or clearinghouse, we're fucked either way, right? damned if you do, damned if you don't. The moment you get it to 6 counters. Play Light the Fire, I guess, is the answer.
Yeah, I think so.
I saw quite a lot of Light the Fire at Worlds, which I hated. I hated to see it as PE, but I love to see it as Jessica because I've always really liked that card. And one of the reasons I was a bit down on Pinhole Threading when it came out is I felt that Light the Fire was really fairly costed for what it did, whereas Pinhole Threading I felt was just kind of the same effect, but much, much cheaper.
It was one of the preview pack, wasn't it? They put out a Parhelion preview pack with some alt arts, and it was one of those. And I thought it was cool. I had exactly the same emotional journey with it as you. I thought it was cool. I was looking forward to seeing it in play, and I was a bit sad that it didn't get much.
I played it a lot, and I remember one time taking out a server that had Anoetic Void, Managam Skunkworks, and because we were playing startup, Project Vacheron in it.
Yeah.
And Project Vacheron is that one that you put 4 power counters on it and it camps down and you don't get any points if it's on 0 power counters unless you steal it from archives. So I trashed it with Light the Fire and then got the win immediately by getting it out of archives, and it felt really good.
I had a point I was going to make. I was about to say something about Cerebral Overwriter.
Yeah.
We were talking before about NSG's design philosophy, and I feel it's a very hard card to play around. It doesn't really have a lot of counterplay.
It doesn't.
I think all generalizations you make about NSG's design philosophy don't really apply to Ashes. Because people were just finding their feet and also like just trying to keep a game, resurrect a game, keep a game alive. And fair enough. No shade on the fact that happened, and some of the cards that were released at that point are slightly wonky.
I mean, it's not an NSG designed card, right? Is
it a reprint?
I'm pretty certain it's a reprint.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Well, there we go. The point still stands then.
I realise I am part of the problem as I say this, but like I completely agree with you that it's like borderline impossible to play around. And like I think when decks like the one I played at Worlds get even slightly good, the meta adapts extremely quickly to them. Light the Fire is an obvious answer to Light the Fire become. If my deck became really popular, everyone would just play 2 or 3 Light the Fire and take anything that had more than 3 counters off the board with it.
Yeah. I'm going to say, Jessica, that actually you're doing the Lord's work by being a terrible person running Clearinghouse, because you're dragging Light the Fire back into its rightful place in the meta.
Baramru has Clearinghouse. Soccer's allowed to do it.
Yeah,
I should be allowed to do it too.
That's true. Baramru in the chat. Good evening. Hello.
Yeah.
Thanks for the shout out on your stream the other day. It was nice to see. Much appreciated.
Absolutely.
He's saying the Rococo Pop is a weird one, but as long as there's either a piece of ice on the server or an upgrade to keep the server alive, then they can pop it the end of your turn to turn it into a clearinghouse, and it will keep the counters. Gotcha. Yeah, so there needs to be another card so the server doesn't evaporate mid trash. That kind of makes sense.
Okay, my intuitive reading of it is that if you've got a trash ability, you should resolve the entire trash ability first before resolving your ob ability. Whereas what seems to be happening is you start resolving, you do the trash bit of the trash ability, then you do your ob thing, and then you resolve the rest of it, which feels very strange to me. I can completely believe that it's the way it works, because there are many rulings about Netrunner that feel deeply strange to me. I remain unable to completely comprehend NSYNC's No Change in Game State. I just know it and believe it to be true. And I've had people say similar things with like, but why when you bypass an ice does the stuff that, the other text, like when you pass the ice still fire, but this text doesn't. And it's like, that's just how it is, okay? You just have to accept sometimes cards don't work in the way that you feel like they should.
Yeah, I mean, I think in games like this, it would be quite hard not to have these weird little interrupts mid, like partway through an effect resolving. Like if you had to fully finish a thing before you did something else, lots of cool little interactions would be lost. I feel. I can't give you an example, especially not a Netrunner one, but like, I know there's some weird stuff in Arkham where you can like initiate a test in the middle of a test, and they do make you finish the first test first. But like, if you weren't able to do that at all, like God, I don't understand these two games well enough to make my point. I think we've got hoffcorp. I think I've seen this person before.
Okay, I think
it's a built to last deck. This might be the soccer deck.
It might be the soccer deck. I played against the soccer deck a few times recently. Amusingly enough, I played it mostly with Cable Carnage's deck that lost against it, so it always feels really good when I win against it, and I'm like, I'm better than the second best player in the world. Do we like this hand?
I wonder if I played against that when as a Smurf.
I think we quite like this hand.
Okay.
If it's that deck, we've got Corroder in our opening hand, which is good. And we can open with Bahia bands somewhere. Admittedly, we don't have a... Hush is nice, actually. If they start advancing stuff and we hush it, it's like you might as well have never advanced it. We might want to wait until they triple advance something and actually get the like good shit off it. Oh, that's tricky. Do we want to Bahia bands into server 1 or not? Probably not, right? If that feels like a spin doctor.
Let's assume it is that soccer deck. What else is there?
Clearinghouse. Biovolt. But Biovolt would be blank at this stage.
Yeah.
Like if they remove a spin doctor for 0 returns, I'm almost fine with that. But Bahia is such a good card. I said, do you want to take the high risk play, Dave?
Yeah, let's. We're here on stream. I think we owe it to our audience to do dumb stuff and have it blow up on our faces sometimes. Certainly in that last game, the more conservative play of not trashing the regolith, I think, was probably a point at which we put ourselves on the road to losing. No, okay, so it's a spin doctor, but they don't do anything with it. I draw and then install.
Yeah, draw and then install.
Yeah. And install.
Install. Oh, it's difficult now because we could get Urban Art and Eco going. But we can't install Eco on this run, but we can maybe make another run like on HQ or something and do it there. Force them to... Or we just install the Corroder and get on with our lives.
I think let's install the Corroder and then we can maybe try and challenge HQ and do some interesting stuff.
Sure.
Cool. So... Is that a bad
we don't want to let them have a wall-to-wall is the thing.
Okay.
but we might.
We can't do anything about it because we've only got 2 credits.
Yeah. We take a credit, run back, kill it, and create a commission. I think that's probably correct.
Sorry, it's so boring. Well, no action is obviously what we're doing now.
We can't do that because we'd be on 0 credits.
Yeah. So we've got 3 clicks.
I think if we let them have a wall to wall, and they will ice it up, is the thing.
Yeah.
We can probably get through whatever ice they put down, right? Unless it's like a Horton or something.
So the only if we want to trash this, we have to click run, and then we're on 0 credits with 1 click.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
that's. I think we probably need to. I think we probably need to do something else.
Run HQ.
Run HQ and install the Eco. Using
Yeah.
Arissana. Yeah. Okay.
There's a decent chance we run to an Afshar, but we end up on 0 credits.
Okay.
Install the Eco. Definitely get the Eco down.
Yeah. And then, do we want to bounce off this, or we can't?
We can't afford to get through it.
Yeah.
Do we want to start getting urban art stuff now, or do we want to fire a? We'll save creative commission for next time. Let's start getting urban art stuff. I think.
You reckon?
No. Let's fire creative because we want to destroy that wall to wall if we can.
Yeah. Draw creative. It's a bit ugly to be drawing now, but I think it's probably, yeah.
Cool.
So using wall to wall to credit, draw, and advance. Nice. Okay.
When they didn't res anything, I think we should have Bahia bands. Okay, that's probably an NGO front, I think. We should have used Bahia bands to get the 4 credits off it. When they didn't res, we should have recognized it was a wall to wall.
Yeah. So, do we want to put the urban art down?
We do. I think we want to draw first. We want to check both these servers, and then we want to put the urban art down.
Okay. What about trashing the wall to wall?
Well, we're going to run both the servers, and one of those.
So when you say
running the trash and the wall. That's not much use to us now, but it might be used to us later.
Run server 2?
Yeah, run server 2. We're presuming it's an NGO front.
It's an NGO front?
Yep.
Cool. Do we want to overclock and use those credits to trash the wall to wall? And install... No. Install Hush? No, hang on. How about urban art?
We'd be using overclock for 3 credits rather than. No, we'd be using overclock for 4 credits. Yeah, overclock the wall to wall.
Yeah.
Install Hush with overclock credits and Trash with overclock credits. I think it's perfectly reasonable.
Yeah.
Install it on the tree line.
Yeah, and then we can do urban art at the end of our turn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. That sounds good.
Arissana first.
Oh, sorry.
But it's all right. You can still do it.
Yeah.
JNet will let you do it, even though it's illegal.
Okay. Hush on the tree line. That's off you. We trash the wall to wall.
we're leaving 1 credit on that overclock, but I don't think it's the worst thing that ever happened.
No, I'm happy with that. At this time of night, that's the kind of slightly inefficient play I'm prepared to tolerate. And Urban Art on the last.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
Okay. Like, we don't mind that. So we can still use Urban Art, like they're not stopping us using it.
Yeah. Hang on, how are they not stopping us using it?
Because we've got Eka installed.
Ah, so we can just take that back.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
That's why Eka is such a powerful card, because they can't.
Yeah,
you can just
gotcha.
Board in front of you.
Yeah.
I think we're drawing to start with. We want some econ.
Yeah. SMC?
SMC is nice econ. See if we can find an environmental testing.
Draw again?
Mm-hmm.
It's a conduit.
That's going to be nice later, but right now I don't think it does anything for us.
Do we have any good lines here? I don't like that we're on 3 credits.
I don't like that we're on 3 credits. We could run HQ, but if it's a Colossus, that fucks us relatively hard. I guess if it's a Colossus, we install a Simul chip and get our Corroder back. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, run HQ.
Run HQ. Don't do anything until they res.
Okay.
Oh, that's a shame.
Oh, that's bad, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm
nice
now
if we had
wondering.
a hush, wouldn't it? It'd be really nice if we had a hush.
All right, we're about to lose all of our credits.
Yeah.
We could instead install SMC and go and find a hush. Are we on 3 credits? We are.
Yeah.
Install SMC and go and find a hush. It's just because it's a funny thing to do.
Yeah, get it. Yeah, cool. And then we trash it.
Yeah, go find a hush.
Yeah, I like this. This is good.
Don't use the Urban Art credits because we're going to lose our real credits anyway.
Okay. Even though when the hush stop that happening.
I guess it will. Yeah, you're right. It will still. No, but the subroutine's going to fire Dave, and the subroutines are still real.
Boo! Okay, I won't use our precious Urban Art credits. Cool.
Let unbroken subroutines fire. And then I might install a Simul chip with our Urban Art credits, just it discourages them from doing what they'd like to do.
Yeah. I want our opponent to be discouraged. Baramuz says, as someone who's tried and watched other people try to play Soccer's decks, I'm under the impression that no one but Soccer will get solid wins with it. I can believe that. I can absolutely believe that. Lazy is concurring.
Yeah.
He just sees an entirely different game than we do. It seems reasonable.
I've said before, like, on paper, Soccer's deck shouldn't work in the current meta. On paper, you should be like, Hermes ruins this, and Hermes doesn't ruin it. It's fine. Like, it actually does really well into Hermes.
Oh, damn. Sorry, I started chatting about stuff and forgot to end my turn. My apologies, hoffcorp. I tell you what, one of the things that I enjoyed about Soccer's recap stream, I don't know if you recall, this time last year I tried watching Soccer's recap stream from Worlds 2022 and I found it completely incomprehensible. I bounced off it really hard and didn't watch any of his content for like another 6 to 9 months. And this time I kind of understood it and I was like, this is cool.
Okay, they're icing everything up. They're turtling a bit. I mean, they've got agendas in HQ. Our job now will take Hush back. We want to draw a bit, try and find some econ. We're probably going to be clicking for credits this turn, to be honest. We might click just to install the eco.
That would be nice if we could ever get through some ice.
Let's run R&D and install the eco after they res. I think like
Aeneas first.
Yeah, Aeneas first, just in case we get in, but we're not getting in.
Yeah.
If this is a Colossus, we're a little bit fucked, but
so install the eco
after they, yeah, okay, that's not ideal either. Install the eco. We should still install the eco. Yeah, using Arissana.
Doesn't it get trashed though?
Not the eco. The eco is a Trojan.
Sorry, it's not showing. It's got retconned as a Trojan, and it's not showing.
Yeah, anything that can be installed on ice is now a Trojan.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. So we bounce off the Ferris.
Yeah, and we take a tag, which is unfortunate.
That is unfortunate.
But they are down on 2 credits, and that's absolutely great for us.
Yeah. Yeah, so the question is, did they want to use their 2 credits trashing one of our resources?
Yeah. We should draw just in case they've got end of the line.
Very good shout. Like it. Yeah, one thing that I also
yeah.
Good play.
Yeah, that's a shame.
So what did they do?
They advanced. They took a credit. They trashed Urban Art.
I forget the advanced play in this deck, which is a really good click for a credit for them.
Yeah, we maybe should have spent the Urban Art credits while we had them.
Yes, that would have been a good play.
I honestly think we just click for 4 or click for 3 and remove the tag. They're also low on credit, so I don't think we are that worried.
Credit, tag, credit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, on that soccer stream, there was a really cute moment where there was someone in the comments who was in the situation I'd been last year as a newer player, not really following any of it at all.
Yeah.
And it did make me think what a nice community is that soccer stopped chatting about his winning one in the World Championships to reassure this newer player that it was kind of okay, that they just follow the whole thing and say, are you on GLC? Yeah. Like, could someone in the comments help you out with some pointers for like, you know, the way you can at somebody to teach you a game in GLC, all that kind of nice stuff.
I think we probably want to draw once, and then maybe we're just clicking for credits again.
Cool. It's a lily pad that we can't install.
Just click for credits.
Click.
Yeah, it's a real shame to have lost that Urban Art.
Yeah.
It was a very risky. When we didn't have the credits to get rid of the potential tag, there were multiple things that could tag us. Okay, now there aren't multiple things that can tag us. Now there's nothing particularly bad that can be res on that server. So I think we do run that server.
Okay. Because there's no Wayland dice that can tag us when it's not advanced. Is that? Oh no, they can't.
There's nothing they can afford.
Yeah.
Fairly certain Colossus costs 6 to res.
Yeah.
Rather than 5, and there's just nothing they can afford.
Cool. Should we start by running?
Yeah. I guess they could res. No, start by installing Lilypad, because then if there is Messner Chestfo, another one, then we don't lose any credits. And they're down on 0 credits. And then we spend the rest of our turn clicking for credits again.
Keep clicking. Is that really our best line?
I don't know. Like,
would a draw here make any sense at all?
What are you drawing for?
I'm drawing for sure gamble, and then I'm going to go click gamble Lilypad run.
You don't have that many clicks.
That's true. Is there any other econ that makes sense that can in this deck? Let's have a quick look.
No.
No,
I've got 3 Urban Art, but I actually wouldn't love installing an Urban Art right now because that could be Project Atlas in the remote. I think, apart from Messner Chestfo, they can't res anything that we hate them resing here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Lilypad run?
Yeah, Lilypad run. I think we've committed to doing dangerous things.
Yep.
I guess we don't have the money to trash a Rashida. Also, we don't mind because we get the credit.
Yep. Autumn.
You see, we absolutely don't mind this. They're not on enough credits to score out from here. Now we're clicking for credits.
Click. Boom, boom. Clickety click. Advance of Autumn, that's a good play. Advance the... Was that card advanced before?
That could be a Biovolt in the remote. Although I think I'd have advanced it a second time if it's a Biovolt. I think one of these is a Biovolt, is what I'll say. We're drawing again, I'm afraid. I think we need to draw for another Urban Art.
Okay. Environmental testing.
That's interesting. I think... All right, it's going to take us fucking forever, but I think we should click for credit, install environmental testing. I don't think they've got an Atlas in the remote. It would be kind of crippling if they did.
We've got Simulchip and Hush
and
as one costers, and we've got Kobe's a 2-coster.
Yeah.
We've got Biobands, which we can't really do much with.
Yeah, all of their ice is quite good, is the problem. I think...
I'm with you. Let's start with the environmental testing. So click and install.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the end of our turn. We've got time to think about how on earth we do this. I feel that... Oh. Is that the Biovolt? No, that's an NGO front. Oh, boo, they're rich now.
Okay. I think they were giving us a clock window there.
Okay. There was a pause, was there?
Yeah, there was a pause. But they gave it at the wrong time.
You started with the environmental testing. What does that mean?
What they mean? If they had Atlas in the remote, they would have scored it just now. I'm fairly certain. We probably just want to go click for 2 credits. Install Hush on Messner Chestfo. Install... Oh, this is horrible.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. Draw a card.
Oh, that's nice.
Should we put that on the Horton?
I was going to say on the Pharos.
Okay.
The thing they least want to trash.
Yeah, that's cool. Cool.
Maybe no, we should have saved that for next turn, so we could have gotten the draw. Silly sausage.
Okay, clearinghouse.
For one, which is very odd.
Okay, because they've got a agenda that they wanted to.
Yeah.
They wanted to advance in that. Okay. Draw.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'd be nice if we get into some servers sometimes, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I would like that. I hear that's what the game's supposed to be about. It sounds fun.
Draw again.
Okay. Symbol chip down. Right, that's a good card to have in play, and it inches us towards the environmental testing firing.
Yeah, and then probably to take a credit, right?
Yeah, and next turn we can credit to Kobe, and then we're out of our credit hole, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And hopefully they haven't won the game by then.
This might be an SDS in the remote. Yeah, it is. So whatever they trash, we just bring back with a symbol chip. Right now.
It's deployed. Okay, just now?
Yeah, right now.
Okay. Draw card.
And fire environmental testing. And find another environmental testing.
Cool.
That's okay. We want environmental testings.
Yeah. Lazy says, as great as a new player, hearing experienced players say it's okay not to understand everything at once. I assume that you're talking about Soccer and Jessica, because I'm not sure that I qualify as one of those. Yeah, it's. I find it really heartening hearing Soccer talk about missing triggers and all that kind of stuff. It's good to know that is a universal experience, because it's a really complicated game. Like, it's a game that tests.
Yeah. Let's draw.
Okay.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that'll be useful at the end of the
environmental testing. Hobie creative.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Oh, it will draw off to Kobe as well, so we get to see something.
Gamble or creative? Creative, yeah.
But we are now getting out of our credit hole.
Right.
Yeah, I'm really sorry for suggesting we run R&D. I should have thought about the fact they had Pharos credits. That's a Biovolt.
Yeah.
Right? That was already in there, so that's a Biovolt.
Yes.
Drawing. We want.
Do we want to contest server 3? My feeling,
yeah, sure.
My feeling of having watched this deck is that if you don't get rid of the Biovolts, you've kind of conceded.
Server 3 would be my thing, because it's got a Hortum on it, and we can't break a Hortum.
That's true. So the smart play on their turn, their smart play is just not to do anything until we crash into the Hortum. I
think we install and click Nuka, and then
could we go into R&D and start making trouble with the conduit?
It costs 6 credits to get into R&D right now. I'm assuming we get a rebate of 2. And they'll just double advance it next turn. So if we're going to do that, we want to do it like right at the start of the turn, not with 2 clicks left, when we can only really get in there once.
Okay. How about we put down the Aeneas at some point in these 3 clicks, so that when we start conduiting, we are raking in a whole ton of money.
I think that's a great thing to look at medium term.
Yeah.
I think right now we still need to find money and that money is going to be in the form of urban art vernissage.
Okay, nuka click gamble probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Gamble.
Yeah, gamble, and then lose the lily pad.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, that's double advance. So what do we think that is? Does it matter since we can't actually get in there?
We can, like, you're right, we can't get in there right now. There's a decent chance that we find either an SMC. I think we should click Nuka. I know you don't enjoy just like drawing for cards. I'm afraid that this is a lot of
clicking Nuka is slightly more enjoyable than just drawing a single card. Okay, we've got an embarrassment of riches here. I think we should be doing something with them. Can we play Conduit R&D, putting down another Cuban on the Pharos, and start making trouble?
We can't do that because we haven't got enough memory.
Boo.
Need to find the other DZMZ to make that work.
Okay.
Um,
God, we could really do with that urban art, couldn't we?
Yeah,
that would be really nice.
I completely fucked us by losing it.
Would the overinstall and losing the hush be the end of the world?
We really need that hush for when they triple advance this Pharos.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Would playing the Aeneas mean that we could still somehow
make money off running R&D?
Yeah,
possibly. If you want to just do it, we should just do it. You seem very keen on it.
I just suspect that might be a way of seizing back control of the game.
Let's drop Conduit first then, because that gets us a draw.
Cool. It's another lily pad, okay.
And then let's drop an AS and
Conduit R&D.
Spend an absolute fucking fortune running R&D.
R&D. Oh, those would be quite useful in the future, won't they?
Yeah.
Do you have that?
We don't.
What's that? Does hoffcorp have a window before we pass the ice?
They want to use one of their biobolts, and we should let them. Like, we do technically have a window, but we don't want to use it. Like, we don't have the memory to use it, so let them use their biobolt.
Do they have a window though? So they.
We've done all of our. We've done everything.
We've used our window to use the icebreaker, right?
Oh, hang on. I see what they mean. No, they would have to do it. We pass the ice first, is what they're asking.
Yeah.
I think. Chat, do we pass the ice first? I'm pretty certain we do.
I don't think so. I think we've got a window where we activate all the icebreaker stuff, and then we pass to them, and then it's the next.
Go and look at timing structure of a run. Uh,
It would really suck to not even get our Cuban credits back.
it would.
Nonetheless, I wouldn't be terribly sad about them destroying a Biovolt in order to do this.
No, they don't have a window.
Okay.
Subroutines on the encounter dice can be broken as part of availability window, but it says it's like the second part of part B.
Okay.
And then it goes to C, and then it goes to D. So I think I'm not sure. I don't know. This chart isn't being very forthcoming.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely not sure.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. I think that's all right. I think that's all right.
I think getting one of those off the board is pretty fine.
Yeah.
I think we use a Cuban and the other lily pad here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So we've been sort of realistically at most one more of those. Yuck.
Okay.
We need to find urban art, Dave. Like, we just need to.
I agree.
We can't even fire environmental testing on this board.
I'd like to click and play gamble at some point this turn.
Sure. We draw first.
I would not be against over installing a Cuban to trigger lily pad.
Okay.
Do you think that's a good play or a bad play?
I just want to find urban art. I think that we've got 14 cards left in the deck, and it's in there. There's 2 more in there, right? Unless we dropped another one.
No, there are literally 2 more in there. Would we ever want 2 Cubans in play? Is that a game state that we're likely to arrive at?
If we find our DZMZ, yes, we definitely do.
Okay.
We'd love to get a second Cuban on whatever it is.
Okay, let's draw once. It's another an S. That seems excessive.
Credit, gamble, creative.
Yeah. Okay. So they've got something double advanced there. Maybe it's 5-3. Maybe it's clearinghouse. Draw. What?
Draw.
Peter Chow.
Run R&D.
Conduit R&D, presumably?
Well, at the moment, it's got no counters on it, so it doesn't matter what way we run it. We just run R&D.
Yeah.
Force them to get rid of that other Biovolt.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Okay, Mess and Chest though.
Do we want to stimul chip the hush onto it? I think we do.
Okay. Yeah, it's good in a whole load of ways.
Yeah, let's do it.
Is there another hush to be symbol chipped?
There's a hush on the board that we can trash with the symbol chip.
Symbol chip trash is something, yeah? Yeah, cool.
Yeah. But there is also one in the bin.
Yeah.
Draw a card. Yes, please.
Filmmaker. Okay, we...
Then just let it fire. If we install a simul chip now, then that protects us against SDS and it fires environmental testing.
Cool. Yeah, I like that. Okay, and then we need to discard one card, and I vote for the third NAS.
Clot, we don't need.
Okay.
Clot's better in the bin.
Sure. Oh, yes. So it is.
I can't remember when we last had a successful run in this game. I think we had one on turn 1 or 2.
I think this deck might be really good. And we have somewhat stuffed ourselves. I think there's been mistakes were made, Jessica.
Yeah.
I think that's my analysis of our gameplay. Sorry, stream. It's 20 to midnight. My analysis would be better earlier in the evening. So you're clicking for credits?
Yeah. So that's something. We got them to clicking for credits.
Yeah.
Nuka, I think.
Yeah.
We're looking for DZMZ, Urban Art, or Buzzsaw. Any of those three would be decent.
Yeah. Okay. Again?
None of them. Literally none of the things that we want. Sure, again.
Again. Okay.
How is that possible?
We've got a Buzzsaw and an SMC, which functionally is several of the things that we wanted.
Fine.
No Urban Art.
We can't install the Buzzsaw at the moment. We haven't got a DZMZ either. Like literally all of the cards we need are in the bottom 4.
Okay. Sucks to be us, I guess. Do we want to put another Nuka down as our final action?
Not really. Like, once we do find at least one of these things, we will draw through the rest of our deck very quickly.
Right, yeah. Even if we don't, it's kind of a waste. She's 6 cards, isn't it? And then we've only got 4.
Yeah, we could... I think we gamble.
Okay.
Or we environmental testing. Either's fine. And then we discard half of our remaining deck.
Yeah, I'm going with gamble. Cool. So,
okay, now we work out what we actually want. We don't want SMC. We don't want Nuka.
We don't want SMC. We don't want Nuka. Yeah, that
we
makes
do
sense.
Want environmental testing. We don't want another NAS in 4 minutes. We don't want Q-Bound.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, there we go.
Would Mimic have been a good candidate for discarding?
Maybe. Okay.
There's Feroz. Okay, they're on game points.
They are on game point. Okay. We buy your band's archives because the worst thing that can happen is that they res something they can't afford to res.
Yeah.
And the best thing that happens is that we finally install the shit that we actually need to. I cannot believe the other 2 Urban Art. There were 3 in the list, right? I'm not misremembering that.
I'm pretty certain. Yeah, let's double check that. Yeah, 3 of them.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, draw 2 cards. The moment of truth. Yes, bloody last. Which of these do we want to install?
DZMZ is actually the more urgent. There's actually very little left that we can use Urban Art to install reinstall Q-bands and fire environmental testing. It's actually almost too late for it to be particularly useful.
Oh. That's really dumb. I installed DZMZ without using the ability, which was silly. I don't even know how to undo that.
Just add a credit on and then pick one of the options that does nothing. It's probably the best way.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got a Biovolt in server 3. We've got a conduit. And probably enough money to start doing stuff with that.
Do we just want to install and run R&D?
I feel like yes, that's what we want to do. Bustle down, run R&D.
Yep.
Profit. Yep. Draw cards, yeah, why not? Self-modifying code. That's useful. Run R&D, and should we pop the pizza chow on?
We haven't got enough memory.
Oh, still. Okay.
Yeah, we needed that one memory to install the buzzsaw.
Gotcha. Okay.
This is still going to cost us a small fucking fortune, but like I think once we start getting Aeneas credits, it's all right.
Yeah, yeah.
And if they fire Biovolt, fine. Like they can't score out at the moment, so I think we're okay with it.
Yeah. Okay. Run R&D. So we can't do anything pizza chow.
We can't install anything because we haven't got enough memory, and we don't want to. I don't think we've got enough credits to lose that Q-ban.
Yeah, fair. In fact, anyway, let's go through this.
If we were on click 1, I don't know. There are situations where I might do it, but I don't think this is one of those situations.
Kobe.
Yeah, we are gonna break Pharos a bit more cheaply.
Yeah. So we'll be approach an encounter. And then we use to Kobe, and then it's cheaper to break. Right?
Yeah.
Quota.
Mm-hmm.
And then break for us for 3. That's more like it.
Yeah.
There's the Bible. Okay.
That's okay.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
That's absolutely fine.
Yeah, I'm happy with the outcome. So okay.
So we're assuming that's an NGO front.
Are we assuming it's so hard that we're not going to run? That's the question.
No, we're gonna run. We just need to work out how many credits it costs to run. Oh, this is brutal. Like that could be another Pharos, and we'd hate it to be another Pharos, but there's nothing we can do about it. We just have to run, I think.
Run R&D?
Yeah, run R&D.
Okay. I mean, it can't be a Pharos because they can't res it.
But they've got an NGO front in the remote.
Yeah, gotcha.
I mean, we might. I don't think this deck runs 4/2s, so I'm not particularly worried about it being literally anything else.
They seem to be thinking about resing it. Magnet.
Um, it's still an NGO front in the remote. That's right. So that would cost us an extra 3 credits. Extra 2 credits.
Can we do something cute here? With like
what we do is at the end of the term we install Urban Art Vernissage and we let it be. We just go through and we spend 2 extra credits going through.
Okay.
Or we
have we got the credits to go through? Yeah, I was thinking symbol chip.
One. I mean, actually, this actually makes our run cheaper. Our runs overall cheaper because we're now breaking something for 1 credit and getting a Takobi counter.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So we will first for the magnet. Approach message successful. Encounter it. Break it for 3.
Yeah.
What just happened there? Must have clicked on the wrong thing. Break it. Power comes from Takobi.
I think maybe symbol chip the Q-band back actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, why not? It's an Urban Art Vernissage. That's a useful card to have. And we're going to use
Takobi, which we get to use twice next time.
Yeah.
Do we? Yeah, I think we do.
I think we do because we're going to get another counter for it now. It's an Arkham. Yes, we will do that.
Did we get our Q-band credits there? So expensive, isn't it?
I'm not sure we did.
Yeah, we did.
We did. Okay, yeah. It is very expensive. Cost of living crisis, etc., etc. Right, is there anything good we can do here, Jessica?
It costs us 5 credits. We can go back.
Yeah.
Like, it costs us 5 credits to go back. And we see the top 2 cards of the deck. I think we're about to get locked out. We need to consider whether we want to do that and hope that we hit something that has a trash cost and that we can get some Aeneas Informants credits. But even that, it's not very much. Or do we install...
I think we probably want to install our Urban Art, don't we?
Yeah, install Urban Art, take 2 credits, and be ready to do it again next turn.
Yeah.
But be conscious of the fact that they are...
Ugh. They're threatening the win, aren't they? Can we get in there?
Yeah.
Can we get in there?
I don't think they maybe run Atlas in here, but they literally can't win this turn if it's Atlas. They can't score it unless it's literally a hostile takeover. But I don't
think if this is an NGO, did they have a reason to pop it at all?
No.
They had no reason
to pop it because they thought
perfect.
for a long time before resing the magnet.
I think it's probably still an NGO then. Let's not take the bait.
Yeah.
Urban Art, click.
We've already installed an Urban Art.
Oh yeah,
so let's not do that. Just take the credits.
Cool. Click.
Like they've done a really good job of keeping our board state down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an NGO.
Yeah, cool. It's definitely the stock list.
And now we lose because now they just lock us out. What's that number? Trace
6. So we don't do anything with that.
No, and they trash our Corridor and we lose. So that's a concede.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very good deck, that one.
It is. Yeah, it's a world-winning
We
deck.
spent 54 minutes fighting.
Yeah.
The trick with All Shaper, I don't know if it's particularly true of Arissana or not. The trick of All Shaper is knowing when you go from building up to attacking.
Mm.
And if you do it too soon, it's really easy to overextend.
Yeah.
And I think twice, once because of me and once because of you, we went a little bit too soon.
Yeah. This is not a play style that my dumb Raj and Ark experiments for the last few months have really prepared me well for.
Yeah, I didn't naturally gel with it either. Like when I said, "Oh, it's aggro shaper," it's possible that I'm bringing the aggro to the shaper, and it's not actually meant to be aggro shaper at all. But like that, me just going, "Oh fuck it, we'll run it. How bad could it be?" is classic Anarch nonsense.
Yes.
And in losing the Urban Art when we lost it, almost certainly lost us that game.
Yes. Yeah.
We would have had probably 20 more credits in all seriousness.
And we were so jammed up as well, like that, the engine in this deck is installing and reinstalling programs, right? And if you can't take them off, we were so jammed up, so many times we're like, hey, how about we do this cool thing? And we didn't have the memory for it.
Yeah.
And I don't have my head yet around how this archetype works, which is you have loads of programs, but you manage your memory with Urban Art.
Yeah. And you move stuff around with Urban Art. And they were doing exactly what you should do against Shaper as well, which is to overinstall whenever they could and give us, they were willing to go down to almost no credits to trash that Urban Art when they saw the opportunity to. And in fairness to them, we had 3 in the deck. We could have drawn the next one the next click. It was kind of bad luck that we didn't until the last couple of cards. And that we didn't draw DZMZ either, which also would have given us some gas when we needed it.
Yeah.
But this is just a very good deck. Because you saw the situation at the end where honestly, I think they didn't need to use the biovolts when they used them.
Those felt like misplays to me.
I think they could have let us in and done exactly what they did at the end there with the Trojan. Or maybe they didn't have it in hand, but they could have just done that.
My big question about their whole gameplay is when they had that Trojan horse. Were they sitting on it for ages and just waiting until we'd use the last symbol chip? That was my chat, wasn't it? We used the last symbol chip to trash just reinstall a Kuban for what?
I've literally played this matchup today as well, so I should have remembered they've got a Trojan horse. But that's an FFG card, and it feels like an FFG card. Because it just says, I have more credits, I win.
Yeah. One of the things, I didn't mention it when we were talking about the rotation announcement. I'm really interested to know whether we'll have Trace this time next year.
Yeah.
Because there's no Trace cards. NSG has never printed a Trace card, have they?
No.
And my assumption was that it was going to be in the meta for so long that they probably would. They wouldn't just slowly eke it out. And now there's a hard cut-off of all the FFG cards. Will Trace come back? Will Link come back?
I don't think it will. Every indication they've given is that they don't like Trace as a mechanic. And I think they're right to not like Trace as mechanics. It turns so much of the game into who has the most credits. And often the way to make sure you have the most credits is to not run or not res ice.
Yeah.
And those are the most interesting bits of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. Do you remember when we were commenting on the Eternal game when we were talking about those dumb cards, the currents? And we were both like, oh, I see why they're all banned. Well, I was trying to be polite about Cobra Bubble's deck, which incidentally, yeah, it was, I think absolutely, Cobra Bubble's absolutely wrecked some people during the Eternal Crown of Servers event. But
is it Cobra Bubble's deck that has the infinite money glitch in it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh, yeah.
And
I didn't watch much of Andre's stream, but I saw him.
He was a salty man, wasn't he? He was so very salty.
As a salty person myself, I completely sympathize.
Oh, that was so good.
I've never seen Andre.
No, it was quite something. But
what
yeah,
I loved is that they still had to keep track of the credit totals, so they were like, I was on 10 billion, and now I'm on 9 billion, 999 million, 999,997.
Make a note of this to your opponent. Really griefing it. Anyway, the point I was going to make before we got down this delightful diversion was we were talking about the currents and we were trying to be polite about them because we were commentating the game, even though both of us were like, well, I can totally see why this was banned. But one or both of us, I think at the time, made the point that there is interaction there, but it's a very uninteresting, flat, one-dimensional interaction. And I think the same can be said of Trace, right? It's like, you're rich or you're poor. There's a little bit more nuance, isn't there? Because there's the boost. And if you're not immediately over, you're not so over the other player's total, then there's a question of whether you spend and make them spend or you don't. And then there's also the fact that unless they're on absolutely zero, you do have to spend a certain amount more than they have. So you potentially put yourself at a disadvantage to get the thing. But it's still, there's not a lot there, is there?
There's not a lot there. And they tried to make it more interesting with Link. I think Trace is at its most interesting when the effect it has isn't trash a program, for example.
Yeah.
Or do X net damage. When it's something a little bit more interesting than that. But like I've said that I can't think of an example off the top of my head of like what would be more interesting.
Yeah. I can't either, and I guess because I feel I have so little experience with it as a mechanic, that I'm slightly loath to really to judge where my misgivings about it come from just a lack of familiarity or an actual critique. But I think there is a legitimate critique there. And I think if you look at Trace as an alternative mechanic, where you've got a really interesting scaling mechanic through a game, and you've got.
Do you mean threat?
Yeah. What did I say? I meant threat.
You said Trace.
Okay, I meant threat. And this, the decks we're starting to see come through where Corpse can feed a 3-pointer to the runner in order to do something terrible to them. I think that's a much more intrinsically more interesting mechanic than
it is. Yeah. When MBN plays a naked Bologna on the board, it's just like come and get it, see what happens. That's fundamentally interesting to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Shall we say goodnight, Dave?
I think we can. I think we should. It's pumpkin time.
It's definitely pumpkin time.
Both the time of the year and the time of the day.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Time losing every single game.
We have. This is how we learn.
This is how we learn. It's fucking hard. Arissana is really fucking hard.
Yeah, I would like to play some more. Maybe we can think about
it's when weirdly
that happens. Yeah, I do not have, other than ever so slightly getting my head around her. I certainly didn't feel like I'm ready to skip off into the wide world, installing Q-bounds with abandon.
Yeah,
but my time will come, no doubt. Next week. Time TBC, right? We will be playing some Arkham.
Yes. Thursday, the 2nd of November, I believe.
Are you up for doing it on the Thursday? We've had some chat, probably off stream,
Yes,
about
I am.
changing days.
You sat me down and you said we should keep this on the same night so that people know we're streaming, and I've come to the conclusion that you're correct.
Okay, cool. Next Thursday it is then.
Next Thursday it is.
Yeah, I think I'm available and keen. I can't remember what scenario we'll be doing in Arkham, but it will. I'm reliably informed that Ice will play some sort of role.
Yeah. We will be going to the edge of the earth, I believe. It's one of the things we'll be doing.
Yeah, it will be bleak.
It will be very bleak. But Stella's massively overpowered cards should get us through.
I'm looking forward to filling you in on my upgrade ideas.
Fantastic. All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Let's leave that cliffhanger for everyone. Good night. Lots of love. Thanks very much.